Never, never, never. In nothing, great or small, large or petty, never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force. Never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
This country can't be knocked out with one punch. We get right back up again, and when we do, the world's going to hear the roar of our engines.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
You do your work, and we will do our best.
Republic. I like the sound of the word. It means people can live free, talk free, go or come, buy or sell, be drunk or sober, however they choose.
Are you ready to be who you are?
No poetry, just a straight answer.
The government has deliberately sought to deceive the United States by false statements and expressions of hope for continued peace.
We are men of the hood. Mary, now at your expense.
But there's no both sides anymore. They're just trying to wreck our goddamn country. It's time for you younger guys to take over it.
You meant to be here tonight. This is your time. Their time is done. It's over. Screw them. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
If you guys don't start thinking as men, we're gonna have a lousy country.
For the crimes of incitement to cause unrest, I declare to be an outlaw!
All right, everybody, it is the Outlaw Radio Network. It is the 4th of August. Excuse me, 4th of August. I was so excited. Like, I came in, like, all excited, and then I choked on my own voice. Because the voice is that awesome.
So excited, you just can't hide it.
Yeah, I'm about to lose control. I think you're all going to like it. All right. Outlaw Radio, thanks for checking out the show. K-Dog, Kevin Black Tom is over there.
Hey.
Lori, the CEO, is off camera doing her beauty pageant wave. And Bob Ross is running the boards. DJD is around here somewhere. And St. Paul, the voice of softball, will be along shortly. So true story, Paul had back-to-back softball games tonight, which is why he's not here.
Priorities.
Yeah.
You say it like it's a bad thing. I mean,
well, it is a sport reserved for 12-year-old girls, and yet he's a 50-year-old man playing softball.
I enjoyed my time playing bar league softball. Mm-hmm. It's a great excuse to get around, get together, drink some beers, go out and sweat a little in the sun.
All right. I'll let you have that then.
I see the irony is he's playing softball, and now we have political stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of political stuff to talk about.
Lots of softballs here.
Let's introduce our guest who's in studio, and he's going to be here for a while tonight. I didn't get him to commit to the whole 3 hours, but literally I will let Chris Gergen sit in studio 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 3 hours. Dude flew up here from Vegas just for tonight's appearance. Chris?
That's right.
Welcome to the show, man. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Is it possible you left Vegas in part to get away from the oppressive heat?
No, I actually enjoy the heat.
Do you?
I had to laugh. Like the other day, I had 2 or 3 different people mention, oh boy, we're going down to the river on Sunday. And I was like, what happens on Sunday? And they said, it's going to be real hot. And I was like, really? How hot is it supposed to be on Sunday? It's supposed to get to 90. And I was like, wow. When I left Vegas the other day, it was buck 7.
Yeah. Well, according to the Google machine, the high temp in Vegas today was 111.
Yes.
And tomorrow it's supposed to be 113.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a couple of days where out at my house, I live out on the west side, out near the Red Rock Canyon,
I love that place out there.
It's beautiful out there. And it was 120 at my house, which means down at the airport it was probably 124, 125. Gosh, it was pretty
awful,
pretty brutal hot. Yeah.
I would recommend anybody who goes to Vegas go to Red Rock Canyon.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's
Little
gorgeous.
Calico is the coolest trail. I've hiked a whole bunch of those trails out there, but Little Calico is the coolest because you get to the end of Little Calico and you're on a rock face wall straight down under you, but in the distance you see the entire strip.
Yeah, the thing about Vegas is that people think that Vegas is the strip, and the reality is there's actually a city around the strip that is an amazing place, and there are, if you're into nature, there's a lot of things that you can do out in nature, a lot of places you can go hiking, bike trails.
Great mountain biking.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's beautiful out there. And you've got maybe 45 minutes. Well, it's 45 minutes from my house. It's the Valley of Fire, which is up the 15 towards, like, if you're going towards St. George. And the Valley of Fire is beautiful. The rocks there are just amazing. Like in the afternoon when the sun's at a certain level, they glow red. It's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, listen, I've decided this weekend that because I'm starting school at the end of this month. I'm going for my master's.
Congratulations.
But I have a week break in October, towards the end of October. So I think I might take a 4-day weekend.
It's a perfect time to come to Vegas.
In Vegas,
in October.
yeah. The pools are closed, but other than that, it's perfect.
Some pools are closed. It just
all the
depends
hotels
on
the strip are closed.
Yeah.
They close. Yeah, they close.
Yeah.
All right, we could talk about Vegas all night. That's my favorite city to visit, but not to live in. So just background on Chris. If this is your first time checking out the show, Chris is a political strategist. He's a consultant. He's active in many races in Washington State, including a couple that matter to the folks that live within earshot of the AM station associated with Outlaw Radio, in Jesse Young and Rachel Heller. Harder. Sorry, Harder. Are you consulting with anybody else in the Kitsap County, Gig Harbor area, or just those? I know that you got other ones in the state. I think you're helping with.
Yeah, we're involved in directly involved in 6 races, and all of which, except for one, are in Pierce County.
Oh, okay.
And so Brandon Bainon in 31, Matt Marshall in. Who's backfilling J.T. Wilcox's vacated seat.
Sorry, JT. Sorry, sad to see you go. Not, but go ahead.
And we've got Senator McCune, also in the second, and then of course Jesse Young and Rachel Harder. So yeah, and then I'm running one on the or directly involved in one on the east side. Mike Kelly, who is backfilling Senator Padden, who is retiring.
Okay.
Yeah, so over there in the 4th. And we're involved in several other different races, but not as directly involved as I am in those.
You got your hands in a lot, don't you?
I do. I try to.
You're gonna
be involved.
You're gonna sleep well about a week after the election.
I hope so.
Yeah, you'll sleep well.
Well, it's either going to be a wedding or a funeral.
But you got 6 races, right? I mean, it could be a mix of all of it,
yeah,
right?
I mean, it could be a mixed bag,
Yeah.
In races, I told somebody the other day, I was like, man, if we lose all 6 of these races, then I'm never going to be able to show my face in this state again. But
we'll still be friends.
Right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'll just come back just for you.
Perfect. You'll fly back from Vegas just for the show.
Just for the show. But we feel good about all. I mean, we feel good about all of the races, better in some than others, just because there's different dynamics involved in each. But I feel good overall because we have forced the hand of the party to decide in their infinite wisdom that they'd rather spend money against Republicans than against Democrats. And so the reason that's good, you might think that might be counterintuitive. Well, that's not good. Well, it is good because the other side claims to say, well, we all just need to get along, and if you guys would just get on the train, then everything would be fine. And Reagan's 11th commandment.
That's I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
Reagan's 11th commandment, how we should, if you're 80% Republican, is an 80% friend, not a 20% enemy. Hey, listen, I get it. I'm down. Let's do it. Back in March, I called for a peace. And actually invited a bunch of people to get together. A few people did come, and the people at that were influencers and with the other side, we all agreed that we would kind of put the swords down and let's go push against the blue team. And it didn't take maybe a month and a half, 2 months, and then all of a sudden we have H-Rock and the SRCC and a bunch of clowns doing dumb things, and now here we are. And so I wasn't the one that broke the peace. But, so if they want to fight, then we'll fight.
If you start it, I want to end it.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get into some of that in a minute. I want to talk about the 2 candidates in the 26th that we've been following more closely just because of where we're located at.
Sure.
I want to start with Rachel.
Yeah.
Because I believe she has the toughest hill to climb.
She does.
Not a knock on Rachel at all, but she's going against an entrenched Republican and Michelle Calder. Sorry.
Well, and she's new.
And she's new, so there's not a lot of name recognition. She's new politically in the area as well, so she doesn't have a lot of a record per se to run on, right? She can make her statements. This is what I stand for. This is what I believe in.
Right.
How do you feel with Rachel as we're a couple of days away from the election, and how well do you think her message was able to get out?
Well, first of all, I like Rachel a lot.
Yeah, we do too. She was great. We had her last week.
She's fantastic, and I think that she, for a first-time candidate, not knowing anything, right, when she came aboard, she really just jumped in there and she, put her hand to the plow and she did the work that she knew that she needed to do. And, from that standpoint, I can't speak more highly of her. And I believe she's going to do really well. Michelle has faced a couple of opponents in the past from the Republican side. Randy Boss, I believe, was one, and Alicia Beeler was the other. Both of them I like. I know both of them, and I think they're both great people. Unfortunately, they didn't do the things in their campaign that they needed to do to get farther down the road, specifically on the money side. When you're a brand new candidate, you have really two hills that stand in front of you. The first one is the financial hill, the fundraising hill. The hill after that is the name ID hill. And you have to climb them in that order, because if you don't have the money, you can't do the marketing to build the name ID.
Right.
Right. And then if you don't have the name ID, then you can't turn around and then raise more money, which in turn allows you to build more name ID, which in turn allows you to raise more money. And then that's how the cycle goes.
Sure.
If you can't climb that first hill, then name ID is going to be tough. Rachel's raised about $55,000 dollars, which is substantially more than other people have raised against Michelle. Michelle is facing, or how Rachel's positioned on this spectrum, if you go right to left, Rachel is to Caldeir's right, which digs into her base. Michelle has people to her left, which take away a lot of her crossover vote. And so she's got to make the case to voters, and she has to raise the money, which she has raised almost $100,000. She has to make the case to voters that they shouldn't vote Democrat, that they should continue, because she has pulled some Democrat vote, that they shouldn't vote Democrat, and that they shouldn't vote for the independent. Right, I think she has two Democrats against her, and then she's got an independent, and then she's got someone to her right. And so she's boxed in. And her strategy this cycle has been to go scorched earth against Jesse Young and against the WSRP and against the PCRP and against, and that's the Pierce County Republican Party, the Washington State Republican Party. She's decided to go scorched earth against everybody.
Are you talking about Michelle?
Yeah, Michelle has, yeah. And so I'm not sure. I haven't seen things out of her where she's casted a vision, where she's talking about what could be and how she's going to address what is. All I've seen her do is go scorched earth, try to settle debts, get herself into trouble with she's in legal trouble. She's using campaign funds to pay her legal fees. Because she's got herself mixed up and found guilty of ethics violations. Right. So she's got a lot of challenges and a lot of fires burning. This race is unlike anything that she's really had to deal with before. H-Rock, to the point that H-Rock is the House Republican caucus. Okay. So that clown show over there has decided to drop tens of thousands of dollars to backstop Michelle so they don't lose someone out of her caucus. Now, H-Rock and Michelle aren't necessarily great friends, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and so they've decided to backstop her because they don't want a conservative like Rachel Harder, who is principle-based, who is a mom, who believes in the Constitution, who wants to do things by the book, who supports parents, who support, all these things that H-Rock has traditionally not supported. She supports those things, and so they don't want her in the caucus. And so they're spending a lot of money. If one of these groups dropped almost $80,000 help Michelle with doors, knocking on doors and these different things, because Michelle couldn't draft a team of volunteers to go out there and do that herself.
Well, you know why, though? Because she promises to pay 11-year-old girls and then doesn't pay them for walking in the parade for her. Did I say that? I'm sorry. We'll talk about that more later. Is there any fear, though, as a Republican, that her and Rachel fracture the vote so much that it allows, like what we saw last year with the was the lieutenant governor, where you had 2 Democrats and the Republicans made it because you fractured the vote? Is there any concern about that?
No, because the strength of those 2 candidates is a lot more than it was in that lieutenant governor race.
Okay.
The lieutenant governor race had 2 weak Republicans. And unfortunately, I don't know what it is about the Republican Party in Washington State, but they don't field really strong. Traditionally, they have not fielded really strong candidates for those statewide races.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is, but
because they're all moving to Idaho.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Well, they're moving next to Inslee. Inslee's moving to Idaho. That's
right.
That's word on the street. That's what I heard.
Hope he takes Bob with him when he goes. What about Jesse? How do you feel in regards to Jesse? I think, again, Jesse's got a lot of name recognition in the district. People know who he is. He was a multi-term state representative before he went up for state senate against Emily Randall, and that didn't work out for him. Now he's coming back to that representative seat. I don't really feel like his Republican opponent for the primary is much of a Republican.
No.
And I don't really feel like the Democrats have a shot in HE double hockey sticks. Not in this district, I don't think.
Well, Addison is kind of, he's the Dem. He's been in the race a long time. His fundraising has been soft. Even though he has about as much money as Jesse does, he's been in the race twice as long, right? And so that tends to water it down. Also, when you look at the sheer number of individual donors, Jesse has a lot more individual donors, by about 100 more individual donors than Addison does, and Jesse's been in there literally half as long. So we're keeping an eye on Addison, and we will, because we expect to see him in the general. Jim Henderson is a Tacoma Democrat, period. Card-carrying Democrat. I mean, it is so well documented. In any sort of assertion to the opposite of that is just on its face is just a lie.
Yeah.
And he's lobbied for the Democrats. All of his friends are Democrats. He appears at campaign events with Democrats and these different things. I don't subscribe to the idea, and I know that there are some Republicans who will argue with me till the cows come home about this, but I do not subscribe to the idea that conservatives should be hanging out BSing with Democrats and cultural Marxists and these different people. Mm-hmm. I know that if I went to an event filled with cultural Marxists and people that believe in DEI and believe in all of these different things, transgender, all this other stuff, I probably wouldn't feel comfortable in that meeting. I wouldn't be sipping my martini, just relaxing with folks like that.
Be sitting at a table with your back against the wall so you can see everybody in front of you.
100%, right? And so, this idea that, we have to work with the Democrats. No, you do not. Because they don't want to work with Republicans, period. Mm-hmm. They don't care what conservatives want because they don't need to care.
Okay, but hold on. Let me push back then. In this state, where you're so close up against a supermajority for Democrats, if Republicans don't work or can't work with Democrats, then what? And I've asked Jesse this before: why vote for a Republican? Like, if the Republicans can't work across the aisle for whatever reason, then doesn't it make more sense for us to vote for more moderate Democrats instead of a Republican, because the Republicans don't have the numbers to do much?
So if we're talking about transportation policy, reach your hand across that aisle. Okay. If we're talking about cutting the genitals off of children,
then don't. Okay.
Then
I
don't.
see what you're saying. Okay. So it's not all the time don't reach across the aisle, but on these key points, these key policy matters,
absolutely.
know where your line is.
There should be, because you're exactly right. If Republicans don't stick to their values. If there's no difference between, if I vote Democrat or vote Republican, it's the same thing, then what's the point of even having a Republican Party? Like, there has to be a difference. We can have healthy debate over what direction the road goes, right? Or whether or not we're going to put tolls on roads, or whether or not we're going to, what sort of public policies that are going to affect, I don't know, homeless or these different things. Fine, we can have those debates, but when it comes to things that are more just absolutely more, like, I'll give an example: parents' rights. No, we're not. That's a full stop. Parents have rights. They're your kids. Period. The state doesn't own your kids, and so I'm not suggesting that Republicans should be obstructionists.
Right.
What I'm suggesting is that Republicans should be value-based, principle-based, and vote their principles and be unwilling and unyielding in their defense of the rights of their constituents that voted them into office. If you ran on a low tax or no tax platform, and you vote for a tax increase, I'm sorry, but you have screwed up.
Yeah. Well, no, it all gets down to the integrity issue, right?
100%.
I've said this on the show 100 times. I'll say it 100 times more. Jesse Young and I do not agree politically on everything.
Sure.
Right? I'm more blue dog, moderate Democrat, and Jesse is conservative Republican.
Yes.
But the one thing I like about him above all other things is dude says what he's going to do 100% of the time.
Yes.
If he says he's going to do it, he does it. He's got integrity, which is more important to me than most of the single issue things. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
So I know when Jesse gets down there what he's going to work for. He's going to work to lower taxes, which even as a Democrat, we need to get our taxes lowered. We need to rein in some of this government overreach. We need to get some stuff going for parental bill of rights. All that stuff matters to me, but the most important thing with Jesse is that integrity.
Yes.
Doing what you say you're going to do when you do it, trying to achieve what you've run on, not getting in office and taking a left-hand turn.
Sure.
And that's what I appreciate about him.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. Are you confident that Jesse makes it past the primary?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. Like, for me, I cannot envision a scenario where he doesn't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I cannot envision.
Yeah. Again, the two mountains: fundraising and name ID. Jim has not been able to do the fundraising, and has not been, though he has raised a good amount of money, but a lot of it came from the lobby. A lot of it came from the help from Michelle, because they're running as a ticket.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, they certainly are. It's almost like Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg, or whoever she chooses to pick. It
100%.
feels like a president VP pick. All right, hold on. We're going to go to break. When we come back, more with Chris Gergen. I'm going to ask him about a district that he doesn't have a dog in the fight in, but it's a hella interesting story. So stick around. Cool. It's Outlaw Radio. Back after this. All right, hold on. So don't get rid of that. Hold on. So Wesley says, Wesley, I hope you're willing to share. You shall all take the mark of the beast. For the Emerald, the 32,523, you shall all take the Omni, the branded barcode. Listen, if you're wearing that aluminum foil hat, I ask you to take it off, take a couple of deep breaths, and then put something in the chat that makes sense. Because I want to understand what you're saying, but right now this feels like you couldn't get onto the Alex Jones podcast, so you decided to come over here, which is cool. I like Alex Jones. We've been promoted on Alex Jones' show before. That's not a lie. But I can't get into this aluminum foil tin. Hold on, let me get my hat. Hold on, here's my hat.
Oh, there you go.
Got my hat. All right, I'm protected. Do you really quick as we're on commercial? I know we can't use these anymore. Did you see these?
We need a new one.
I know. Look, did you see these? See, actually, this will be great. Let's put.
No, I cannot be buying. Are you kidding me? I'll be this guy.
Yeah, look at that.
I'll be this guy.
We can't wear these anymore, though. Like, Biden's out. I'm so sad. I was so excited when I got to use these again this year.
There's probably a Harris replacement.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, guaranteed. One which is cackling.
It doesn't smell pleasant.
Oh,
I can't stand that cackle.
Oh, I cannot look at her. I can't hear her. Her voice is worse than Hillary Clinton's voice.
We're going to ask you about the national stuff probably in the second hour.
Sure.
It's all part of my ploy to get you to stick around here for the entire show.
Well, my wife is the strategic director for President Trump in Nevada. So.
Oh, perfect. All right. Well, I know where you'll lay then. All right, hold on. Outlaw Radio. Come back on AM. We're back after this. It's a Megatalk Radio Network.
.com.
It's not. That's not a .com.
I'm Brandy Cruz, host of the Undivided Podcast, and you're listening to Outlaw Radio. Good luck.
Just to settle a disagreement we had on Facebook, megatalkradio.com is not a website. Megatalk Radio Network, I'm going to check and see if that's a website.
I'm just here to stir the pot.
That's what I do on Facebook all the time.
Because Paul's not in.
Yeah, megatalkradionetwork.com is not a website either. So we can't, if I say Megatalk Radio Network, you can't say .com because it's not a real site. If I say
.net. Maybe my .com is completely independent of your...
Oh, you're self-identifying your .com? That's perfect.
Yeah, .com is the top-level domain.
If I say Outlaw Radio Network, you can't say .com because outlawradionetwork.com is a site you can go to, check out all of our old archive shows, get some Outlaw Radio Network swag, get a t-shirt, get a sweatshirt, get some yoga pants, get the Outlaw Radio Network boxers that Chris Gergen wore on this flight here.
Chris is like, yoga pants? Really?
Yoga pants?
That we got everything, man. There's women that want to brand themselves in Outlaw Radio Network gear. What can I say?
You know, they have guy yoga pants.
Do they have guy yoga pants?
Not
for this guy. Not for this guy.
I was going to wear the Outlaw Radio Network yoga pants to be funny, but they are not built for men.
No, they're not.
No. It does.
They don't
not
have
work.
the proper allotment space.
Does not work.
They're see-through?
Oh,
I'll wear one next week then. Let me order it.
I don't care about that part.
I'm glad I won't be here next weekend.
You won't fly back from Vegas for that? For that show?
I'll watch from home.
Yeah, Heather wears them now. Yeah.
Yeah, the FCC will shut that down. They don't even have a say over Facebook broadcast, but they'll make an exception when they see me in see-through yoga pants. Okay, I want to read this story.
Okay.
We're going to stay local as far as Kitsap County goes. And again, this is not a race that you have a dog in the fight in.
Sure.
But I think it's a really interesting story. So let me read this to you. Tara Simmons, representative in the 23rd District for state representative. She's a Democrat. I think she would even admit that she's a pretty liberal, progressive Democrat. She ran under the platform. She's a former convicted felon.
Yes.
She wanted to do a lot with justice reform.
Yes.
You agree with everything I say. You can come on this show whenever you want to.
Yes. No, I know exactly who this is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So before she ran for legislature, she formed a nonprofit.
Okay.
And the nonprofit was basically, it's called Civil Service. She founded it back in 2015. It was a nonprofit that was designed to provide legal services and advocacy to help those who were coming out of prison. Okay? So they could land on their feet, get a soft place to land, all of that. Personally, I love it.
Yeah.
Like, anybody who hates that, that's purely political. Like, these types of things help avoid recidivism among inmates getting out. I think it's great.
Yes.
All right. So she was the founding director of the organization, and she's been with us since 2015. On July 15th of this year, she was canned.
Wow.
By the organization.
From her own organization?
From the organization that she founded. Because, you know, when an organization gets big, you have to have a board, and you got a lot of people in there. So she got canned.
Wow.
Okay. Now, I'm basing this off of an article on KUOW. Okay. So I want to vet my sources because I don't want anybody to come back here and tell me that we reported it wrong because I reported it based off of what KUOW said because I did reach out to Tara Simmons. I got a nice response back that she would respond more later, and then she hasn't. I also know that her attorney is Matt Macklin, who is running for Kitsap County Commissioner. He's been on this show several times, but he has advised her not to make any comments because they're going to proceed with legal action.
Understood.
So that's all legalese stuff, right? But here's what I know, okay? She has said, or it has been, maybe it wasn't her, but her people around her, that she was told she should not head the organization because she presented as too white. Now, she has Hispanic heritage. Although, listen. Just because you have 2% or 5% or 18% Hispanic does not mean you should identify as Hispanic. It doesn't. You look Caucasian. I don't identify as Native American, even though I am. I'm licensed with a tribe and everything, but I don't go around claiming my Native American heritage so I can niche myself into some group so that I fit to some group's ideologies. Anyway, I'm not saying that's what she did. I don't know what her percentage is. I'm just speaking generally. Okay? So, okay. Let me read this. This is from KUOW. Former employee Castle Hightower and Simmons both spoke to KUOW about an employee retreat last August that included a racially charged discussion. Simmons, who is Latina and white, said she was criticized as being too, quote, white presenting to lead the organization. Hightower said Simmons made disparaging comments about a lack of support from black-led organizations. Simmons disputes this. Simmons said she filed a claim of racial discrimination over this incident. She filed a claim of racial discrimination against the organization that she created. Okay. Also in August, Simmons' co-directors notified staff the board had placed her on a voluntary administrative leave. The co-directors also advised the staff, don't contact Simmons while there is an independent investigator assigned to the matter. In November, multiple staff members drafted an email to the investigator asking for assurances that their jobs were safe, noting that they felt, quote, hopeless in fear among the employees. The organization, however, did not respond to KUOW. Simmons told KUOW in December she received a legal settlement from Civil Survivor based on her claim of racial discrimination for being accused of being too white presenting. Quote, and I'm going to come back to this. Quote, Simmons said, I actually experienced more racial discrimination than anybody. We're going to come back to that because it's a great conversation.
I thought that wasn't possible.
No, okay. Simmons said it around the same time she was awarded a new contract with Civil Survival that extended into 2025. So they re-upped her contract into 2025. She also got a job with another nonprofit in May. So that was in December. In May, Civil Survival cut off her access to the company credit card. And then they suspended her email account on July 15th. That was how I believe she found out that she'd been terminated.
That's less than traditional.
One last thing. Other groups and nonprofits that work with formerly incarcerated people have gone back to Civil Survival and said, why are you firing her? Like, figure out a way, like, make friends, bridge this gap. They signed an open letter that asked Civil Survival to, quote, engage in a restorative and healing process, which is a very liberal worded statement, but whatever. Does this influence, in my opinion, maybe Chris will disagree. Does this influence my opinion whether or not she should be reelected or not? It doesn't. I mean, this is infighting in a nonprofit organization that she founded, and she looks too white to head the organization that she founded for convicted felons, which she is one, who got out of prison, which she did, to do good things with their lives, which she did, once they returned to the community, which she did. Maybe they're mad because she filed a discriminatory lawsuit and then they had to settle with her on some kind of cash allotment. I don't really know. So none of this to me impacts whether or not she should be reelected or
agreed
or in that. And if you don't agree with her policies, then that's a whole different story. But this story itself, you guys all agree?
Agreed, 100%.
I was reading another article that it sounded like there were some personality conflicts in as well. It wasn't just
her whiteness.
It didn't go into any detail.
Sure.
It was just that, someone's feelings got hurt about something someone said. I mean, it just, arguments amongst the snowflakes. And
Can I say how dumb this is, though?
I love it.
Chris, go ahead.
I love it.
Do you?
I love this. This makes me laugh. It makes me all warm and fuzzy on the inside. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, much, if not most, of the brain dead liberal ideology that they are pushing out into society today it's like a boomerang. You create this monster, you release it into society, and then all of a sudden it comes home and it eats you.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what is happening this isn't, Tara wasn't pretending to be African American.
Right. She wasn't Rachel Dolezal.
She wasn't. Yeah, exactly. She wasn't pretending. She was exactly who she said she was.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I don't agree with Tara probably on 99 out of 100 things.
Yeah,
politically, and I don't think that this is a political thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is just strictly they created this monster of racism that is now that was useful, and now it's come home and it's starting to eat all of them, like the pronoun nonsense.
Yeah.
Right. So
Zer.
Yeah. It's like so now everybody just has to do that, and then when the liberals don't, do liberals just get a free pass when they don't use the right word?
Oh yeah.
Not all the time.
No.
And so that's the thing is that this for me, while I am sad that Ms. Simmons has been ousted from her own organization, and that I do not support, I still think it's funny.
Here's how dumb this is, though. So you're a nonprofit working to address the needs of people that are being released from incarceration.
Yeah.
And you have on your board or within your employ a sitting state representative.
Right.
With all of the connections.
Yes.
All of the interactions, all the personal relationships, the lived life experience. You are in the catbird seat. And instead you're like, but she's not white enough. That's so dumb.
Or she's too white.
Too white.
I'm sorry, she's too white.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not minority enough.
Right.
And they oust her. That is insane to me. I know that Paul is joining us. I think the phones are up and running. Paul, what's up, buddy? Where are you at?
Yeah.
When do we get here?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
I'm on my way in.
Okay.
So can I listen? Okay. The question that you asked about whether or not it should affect her running for office, let me first of all make the suggestion that while I agree with Chris that it shouldn't, I understand for some people it may. Because it speaks to character. It speaks to behaviors by people that are in elected public office. I can understand people that perceive it in that way too. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Well, anytime you have any publicity like that, it's going to bump you one way or the other. I mean, heck, look at Trump. You know, someone took a pot shot at Trump and nicked his ear, and he went up, double digits in his polls? I mean, he went back down again after the Republican convention.
Can I read this really quick?
And there is more to this story.
Paul, I want you to hear this. So, Lori found this. It was a letter from the folks at Civil Survival.
Yes.
I'm going to read part of their statement.
Exactly what I was about to bring up.
It says, this is quote, over the past year, Tara Simmons has harmed our staff and undermined our work in the community. For example, after receiving race equity feedback, Tara threatened the jobs of Civil Survival staff and threatened to cut funding for the organization. We raised these issues with our leadership and board, and they took them seriously. They conducted investigations and made organizational changes so we could operate in a safe working environment. Despite this, Tara, throughout the last year, has exercised her influence as a state legislator to exclude formerly incarcerated staff members from advocacy spaces. So, some serious allegations, right? Basically saying, well, you guys didn't treat me right, so I'm going to work to pull state funding.
Tara admitted to it.
Oh, did she? Yeah.
She said, absolutely. She said that she got flustered while they were at a retreat for the organization when somehow the conversations came up about how she presented racially. She clearly got upset about that and basically told them all that if they wanted to kick her out, she'd take the funding and she'd take her toys and go home.
But that's her right to do that.
Yeah, hold on. We're going to break, so we're going to continue this. Stick around. Paul, how far out are you from studio?
10 minutes, 15 tops.
Right. Stay on the line with us. Hold on. We're going to break on the Facebook side. We'll talk to you. Enjoy the commercials. We're back after this on Outlaw Radio Network. All right, Paul, you were in the middle of something. I had to cut you off for break. Go ahead.
It's okay. No worries. I was just talking about Tara acknowledged basically losing her cool when that conversation come up. Now, I'm going to say this because I think plenty of people are thinking it.
Yeah.
But over the years, if there's one thing I've been known for, is not being afraid to say what other people are thinking.
Okay. And play softball, but go ahead.
I think that it is naive of any of us to expect better or more from individuals who put themselves in the position to need this organization in the first place. There's a reason they are there. They make really poor decisions, and they are trying to get their lives back on the right track, and I get that, and I totally wish them the best. But I find that when you get to the point that your life has gone down those kinds of roads, it's a rare person, somebody in a lot of ways like Tara, it is the rare person that is able to completely change who they are. And I think as a result, you have a lot of thin-skinned people. You have a lot of really super sensitive people. Remember when we were first going to have Tara on, and before Tara came on air to talk about the packet of information that had been put out about her, people were busting and just raking us over the coals simply because we were going to, and I quote, talk to Tara about the packet.
Hold on. We're coming back on AM. Stick around. It's Outlaw Radio Network. At least you're awake.
I'm Brandy Cruz, host of the Undivided Podcast, and you're listening to Outlaw Radio. Good luck.
People in the chat asking me where my baseball cap is. I'm blessing you with the glare, so just accept it. Also, I'm wearing my Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt. Arrive, raise hell, leave. There we go. All right. Chris Gergen, again, political strategist, campaign. What is your official title? Like campaign manager?
No, I'm known as a GC or a general consultant.
General consultant. Okay. Yeah. And all around good guy. Paul, do you know that Chris flew up here just for this interview?
What
From
the
Vegas.
hell did he waste his money for when he could have done it via video?
Well, it's 113 degrees in Vegas tomorrow. So.
I was like, wow, that guy's stupid. What did he fly all the way up here for? Well, I just wanted to see you, Paul. You know,
Oh, well, you'll get to see me soon enough, Chris. And I appreciate that. Much love to you, too.
Robert Parker asked this. So, guys, help me out with this in regards to the conversation about Tara. Did Tara admit that she lose her... sorry, let me talk in English, please. Did Tara admit that she used her legislative position to fund the organization that employed her? That would be illegal. That would be illegal. So is that...
And I didn't see anything about that.
But if she said that she would take her funding and go elsewhere...
Well, she could have been talking about her donors. She could have been talking about those.
Maybe not legislative budget, maybe. Okay, maybe. Not in the letter. Not in the letter? I don't know.
No.
I did not read that anywhere.
Well, if there are ethical... So earlier you asked me if I thought that this affected, her politically. If it was just a dispute of her being too white to run the organization, and that was what the dispute was over, then I would stand by. No, this doesn't. But if she has broken ethical, laws, and if she has, if there's character issues involved here, then I would say yes. Yeah. It definitely bleeds over into the political.
It does make the comment about taking her toys and going home. Puts it in a little bit of a different light.
Oh,
right?
100%. Absolutely.
I mean, if she's talking about her legislative funding, then that means that there is legislative funding in place that she's threatening with, which I would think threatening a former employer would also be illegal. I would think.
Right.
Like, I don't think you can do that. I'm not accusing Tara of that. I don't have enough information, but I would think that if that had happened. Yeah.
It depends how it was done.
Yeah.
Right? If we have a dispute and I tell you, well, Kevin, you understand the consequences of letting me go mean that this goes, and this goes because I brought these things to the table.
Yeah.
That's not illegal. But if I have, put my thumb on the scale with the legislature and the budget that my party has controlled for 40 years, and I threaten to chop your funding through the legislature, that is, Robert is absolutely correct. Parker is absolutely correct.
Absolutely.
that is
Abuse
illegal.
of power.
Yes.
Phil, really quick.
Yeah, the kicker of this is what we're not hearing is Tara saying this, whatever the organization does, the thing they do is so important. She either wants to allow that organization to continue to thrive, or she wants to remake it because it's so important. That's not. It's like the issue's not even important. That's just sad. At least that's my takeaway.
Yeah, I don't know if we can formulate that yet because she's been told by Macklin not to make any comments. So I think a lot of this would make more sense if Macklin had. Let me rephrase this. A lot of this would make more sense if we could get a statement from Tara. Yeah. I think Macklin's doing the right thing, right? As an attorney, which is what he is. It's what he does.
Sure.
You do not want your client.
Matt's in the chat now.
Oh, hey, Matt. You don't want to put you don't want your client to put their foot in their mouth.
Right.
Right. So I think that's I think that's really valid. I got nothing but love for Macklin, and I voted for him when I put in my ballot. So
the advice from the attorney should always be shut the F up.
Yeah, shut up. Don't say nothing.
Yeah.
But and Tara's an attorney too, right? I mean, she's a lawyer. So she knows, right? But I would agree, especially in an election time. And I don't know, as a GC, tell me what you think about this, Chris. How would you have a client address this, right? On one hand, you don't want to have them put their foot in their mouth and make it worse. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, if there are questions about what they did, how they did it, why they did it, how do you address that?
So what you do is you sit down with your team and you create a general narrative to put it in a box, and that's the general narrative. And because she has retained counsel, legal counsel. She cannot discuss it publicly, and it cannot be an issue in the campaign. So that's a liability for her because she can't play defense on this. And so what I would do, so if it was you, I would say, well, Kevin, this is what you're going to say. We would vet it through our attorneys. The attorneys would say, yes, this is the narrative. You would get it. You would memorize it. When you're asked about it in the media, this is going to be your statement, and then you follow it up with next question. Mm-hmm. I've already addressed that. I can't speak any further on it. Next question. Right, and you just move on. And one of the good things that as a candidate, one of the good things that you have now that would work for you in this situation is that the news cycle moves so fast. Mm-hmm. So 20 years ago, this might have been in the media 3 to 4 weeks. Right, now it's in the media for like 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Right, and unless it's got, if it's got teeth that are really dug in deep, you might have to deal with it a little bit longer term. But look at all the things that came out about Semi Bird.
Yeah.
No one's talking about those things anymore.
No.
Those are serious, glaring problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in the media anymore. Nobody's talking about it.
Yeah. Same thing with all this stuff with Caldeer, right? There's been countless accusations against her, and it's suddenly forgotten and not really discussed.
So you put it in a box, you address it, and then you say, next question.
Yeah. Yes, Paul.
Well, first of all, there's no bringing up Caldeer, all right? I'm not going to take anything away from a lady who taught me how to vote for a homosexual.
That video. Did you see the video, the cringy video she did about how to vote for a homosexual?
Yes.
That was cringy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could have sworn it was the Babylon Bee.
Why?
I'm like, what?
What? Yeah. Why is Jim's sexuality even an issue?
It shouldn't be.
It wasn't until she brought it up.
Well, no one cares.
And here's my question.
That's right.
Here's my question, Chris, and I've said this a couple times. As a Republican, the only people she was calling out for that was other Republicans.
Exactly.
She literally shot across the bow of her own base. It would be different.
Her own party chair.
Yeah. It would be different if she was a Democrat taking shots at Republicans.
Sure.
You guys can't vote. I'm going to teach.
Absolutely.
But she's a Republican attacking her own people.
Yep. Basically called anyone that did not vote for Jim to basically a bigot.
Yeah.
And the reality is that no one cares who you sleep with. No one cares. What we care about,
she should know that,
and she does. But she does know that, Paul. But she's playing this game. And here's the reality: the reality is, no one cares who you sleep with. What we want to know is how are you going to vote? Mm-hmm. And if you have values that would allow the sexualization of children, or having the state be able to shield children from their parents. If your values support that type of thing, they're not going to vote for you.
Didn't Michelle vote for that?
Of course she did that. 1469.
Yes, she did.
Absolutely. So her and Spencer Hutchins, and Spencer Hutchins was wise, and he knew that he would never survive a re-election campaign having taken that vote. But Michelle doesn't have any other skills. She can't do anything else at this point in her life, and so she had to run for re-election.
Yeah.
And so she's just out there trying to maintain her seat. I don't believe she survives. I could be wrong. We'll find out Tuesday night. But I don't think that she survives this. I think she gets
the primary
boxed
or
up.
in general?
The primary.
So you think she'll be out after Tuesday?
I really do.
Okay.
And so I don't think there's enough space there for. I hope I'm right. I could be wrong, but we'll find out Tuesday night.
Shelley says, "Is she really a Republican?" Caldeer.
I mean, she claims she is. I mean,
and she was endorsed by the KCRP, right?
She was endorsed by the KCRP, but they endorsed early.
Yeah.
Before Rachel was
correct. That's
was in the race. So she is pro-choice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, of her own independence. The Republican platform is a pro-life, by definition, a pro-life platform.
Mm-hmm.
Is a pro-family, traditional family platform. Okay, she disagrees with several things on the Republican platform, and so by definition, I don't know that I wouldn't consider her a Republican, but maybe she is. I don't know. Maybe she is.
Well, I listen. I don't know if I've said this to you before, but I've said it on this show 1,000 times. I don't know why, and I'm talking about the KCRP specifically, okay? So I'm not trying to make things harder for you when I say this. They are such a bunch of hypocrites. 2, 4, 6 years ago, Michelle Caldeer was persona non grata. Her voting record was awful. They had issues with her behavior. They didn't want to support her. They ran people up against her, including Alicia Beeler, whom I adore, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm obviously tainted because I have a really high opinion of Alicia Beeler. But they actively put people against her because they did not want her anymore.
Right.
And then this year, suddenly they're humping her leg like she's Donald Trump. And I don't know what happened from 2, 4, 6 years ago to today, because Michelle Caldeer's voting record didn't change. The abysmal human being that she is didn't change. She still assaulted an old woman by trying to trip her. She's got ethics She has so many issues. And suddenly the KCRP was like, oh, well, she's a Republican, so we'll endorse her. Well, where the hell did your ethics go?
But what changed?
I don't know. Do you know what changed? Because I can't come up with a valid thing that changed.
Yeah, the leadership and the makeup of the PCOs.
Okay, well, that's true.
Yeah, so the organization itself is not static.
Right.
It's fluid. And so
But the state platform didn't change.
No.
Right? And Michelle Caldeer didn't change.
No.
So
the people involved in the party changed.
Yeah.
Right? Just like, I'll give you an example. 4 years ago, the WSRP would never have endorsed Culp, did not, even after we won, after August 4th, we won decisively by 2-1 over our closest guy.
Mm-hmm.
They still did not endorse Lauren.
Was it because
officially.
he was too conservative? Is that why they didn't endorse him?
Well, yeah, because they couldn't. They just didn't want to make an endorsement there,
mm-hmm.
and he was the outsider. He wasn't one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then just 4 years later, a guy like Semi Bird gets 73. I think it's 70 or 73% of the party delegates to vote to endorse over Dave Reichert, and Semi in almost 2 years of campaigning hasn't even raised $700,000.
Yeah.
Right? So no shot, no angle to win. Now, Dave isn't the most conservative guy out there. I would call him a true moderate Republican,
mm-hmm.
right? Definitely too moderate for my personal liking. If I lived in Washington, would I vote for him? Yes, I would, because he's got the best shot to beat Ferguson, and anyone is better than Ferguson.
Well, yeah. He's far enough in the middle that the average Washington Democrat, because let's face it, this state's full of Democrats.
That's fact.
They can handle Reichert.
Agreed.
Yeah, like someone like Culp, who is super conservative.
Right.
It's
tough.
It's a tough sell.
It is a tough sell
in this state.
All right, so let's leave it here. We're going to go to the top of the hour. If you're on AM, we got the news. If you're on Facebook, we're going to talk on Facebook. And we're going to open up the swear jar because you can swear on Facebook when it's Facebook only. And maybe Chris will drop an F-bomb. I don't know. But you don't want to miss it because you never know what's going to happen because we're a bunch of outlaws, and it's what we do. So we're going to go to break. Again, top of the hour news is next on AM. More off the cuff on the Facebook side. You're listening to Outlaw Radio Network, brought to you by Black Ring Spirits.
Hey,
if you need to get drunk on Tuesday after your people lose, whatever party you are, go to Black Ring Spirits. He's got a lot of alcohol.
I recommend it.
And he'll feel sad for you and give you a good deal. Or not.
Wednesday.
Back after this, Outlaw Radio.
We open Wednesday.
I like having Chris in studio. Do you want to replace Paul?
Do not.
Can we just have you replace Paul? You can
No,
fly up every
I had
Sunday
nothing
for the
to
show.
do with that. I just want to go on the record and say I had nothing to do with that comment.
You'll get rich doing this show. You won't.
I mean, he already shows up.
You won't.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
you're actually here when you're supposed to be.
Oh, man.
Thank you, Phil.
And he's not throwing softballs.
No, I'm not throwing softballs. No.
Really quickly, since you brought up Semibird, and we have about a 5-minute segment here.
Yep.
What percentage of the vote?
9.
You think 9?
No more than.
I was thinking 13.
Could be.
Yeah.
You could be right.
I was thinking like 13.
But I think no more than 9.
Yeah.
But our turnout is ridiculous.
Who gets more percentage of vote? Semibird or Mark Mullet?
Mullet.
You think Mullet gets more?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boy.
It is a blue
Wait,
state.
who's Mullet?
Mullet is a
Mark
senator,
Mullet?
state senator running for Democrat nomination. He's not getting any play because Bob Ferguson is. You don't know? You haven't heard of Mark Mullet? You need to pay attention.
I've heard
Phil.
of Ace Hayes. But
Dude, he's raised like $1.4 million.
Which is like flushing money down the commode. I mean, he doesn't have a shot.
Wait, he is considerably more moderate than Sideshow Bob.
Considerably more moderate. In fact, he is to the Democrats what Reichert is to the Republicans.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
I mean, honestly, if we had to have a Democrat governor, I could almost stomach Mark, almost.
I mean, you wouldn't. I don't know that I could stomach him. I wouldn't cry in my beer if he was like. If Ferguson takes over, it's.
You're never coming back to the stadium.
No,
are
I'll
you?
come back. I mean, I'll come back to fight hard. I mean, I made a commitment. I have a lot of friends that live here.
Yeah.
But
you'll be glad when you get on that plane to fly out, won't you?
That's damn right.
when you're not paying tax upon tax upon tax upon tax. Yeah.
That's a fact.
Do you feel good about the governor race up here?
No.
No.
I'll feel good. I think it's so here's why I don't feel good. Because when you look at the turnout numbers, I think we're at 15% or 16% statewide, which is a total train wreck of like complete failure. And the reason is there's lack of energy at the top of the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Voters they're tired of hearing about Trump. They're tired of hearing about Kamala Harris. There's nothing exciting about Kamala Harris, and everybody knows about Trump. Everybody's opinion about Trump is already set in stone. He's been around long enough that that's the case. No one likes Kamala. Even Democrats don't like Kamala. The ones that pretend that they do are just, pretending that they do. No one likes Ferguson. Seriously, who likes Ferguson? Maybe his wife, and I'm not even sure his wife likes him. So, and Reichert is a good candidate, uninspiring, and I think he's as solid of a candidate as Republicans have put up in a while when it comes to credibility, former congressman, former sheriff, these different things. Okay, so he's got the resume for it. I don't think he's running the right kind of race, personally. They would disagree with that because they've raised, $4 million. But I think that when you go to Spokane last week and you have 60 people show up.
Did that really happen?
Yeah, it's a fact.
Reichert went to Spokane.
Yeah, and had 60 people show up.
Wow, on the red side of the state.
Yep. And so, August 4th, we had a victory rally for Lauren Culp where 2,500 people showed up, and I have it on video. It's on YouTube. You can still pull it up where we videoed it and filmed it. We blew that out. And, and it was in the middle. It was out by Leavenworth, like out in the middle of friggin' nowhere. 2,500 people showed up out there on a friggin' Tuesday night in August to get the W.
You know what it was?
What's that?
It was the beer.
It was the beer. Yes,
There's
could have been the beer.
in Leavenworth.
Yeah,
Did you come into the station with Culp when Culp came in here? Were you with him at that time?
No, but I sent him. Yeah, I was in D.C.
You've been a fan of this show the whole time, haven't you?
Yeah, I've known about this show since about 2020.
Oh, see, look at that.
Yeah. In fact, it was Jesse that told me about the show.
Was it Jesse? Yeah.
So I met Jesse. Jesse said, "Hey, man, do you think that Lauren would want to go on to Outlaw Radio?" And I was like, "What's that?" And then he told me about it, and then I was like, "All right."
Yeah.
I mean, I'll put my guy in the media any chance I get.
Yeah.
As long as I'm not leading him into a minefield. But so that was kind of how that all started. But there's just no excitement. There's no energy. Like, who's excited about Denny Heck being the lieutenant governor?
Nobody. All right, hold that thought. We're going to come back. It's Outlaw Radio coming back around on the AM side. Paul finally made it in. We'll see how his softball game went after this. It's Sports Radio.
Greed, deception, abuse of power, that's no plan. I'm the enemy. Because I like to think. I like to read. I'm into freedom of speech and freedom of choice. I'm the kind of guy that just sit in a greasy spoon and wonder, gee, should I have the T-bone steak or the jumbo rack of barbecue ribs with the side order of gravy fries? I want high cholesterol. I want to eat bacon and butter and buckets of cheese, okay? I want to smoke a Cuban cigar the size of Cincinnati in the non-smoking section. I want to run through the streets naked with green jello all over my body reading Playboy magazine. Why? Because I suddenly might feel the need to, okay, pal? I've seen the future. You know what it is? It's a 47-year-old virgin sitting around in his beige pajamas drinking a banana broccoli shake singing, I'm an Oscar Mayer winner.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
All right, so I know we're all talking politics. We got Chris Gergen in here with Dark Horse Political?
Uh-huh.
Dark Horse Political. Yeah. He's a general consultant. He's a political mastermind.
I wouldn't go there.
Well, I'm gonna give you all the props,
well,
man.
I appreciate that, man.
Give you all the props. But really, what people want to know about is, Paul, how did the softball games go today? Tell the listeners what happened on your softball excursion today.
In typical St. Paul fashion, incredibly victorious.
St. Paul.
Yeah.
You've been elevated.
Well, I make sure that everybody calls me by my radio name when I'm out on the fields too. So, I even have it put on the back of my jerseys, and like I get out there when we win a game. Normally the team gets together and does a little cheer on the pitcher's mound. When you win and you call out the name of the sponsor. I've got our team says the same thing now. We've been doing it for a couple years. Godliness is next to St. Paulness. It's really good, man. It's catchy. I'm telling you. Wow. I got an email from the Lord the other day.
You don't drop to one knee and
pray.
Stop.
That was all he said. It was weird.
I don't want
Just
to
stop.
get hit by lightning.
That's right. You don't drop to one knee and pray on the pitcher's mound?
I've been hit a few times that have caused me to drop to one.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
Wait, with a softball game, you've been hit with a softball pitch?
A lot.
Oh, whatever.
I wear a face mask half the time, dude.
You got to protect that grill.
I'll tell you what. I'll have you throw the ball underhand at a 250-pound dude, and you're like the closest person to him, and see how that makes you feel.
Okay. I'm going to leave that alone, dude. Congratulations. You guys won. You got the championship.
Yeah.
What team were you on? Do you want to plug your sponsor, your team sponsor, or anything like that? Or
it was my buddy's construction company. That name I cannot recall at this time.
Dude, I knew that was going to happen. I was like, wow.
That's awesome.
But it's co-ed. It's a lot of fun. I play because my wife and I go out there. We play. We have fun together, and it's the one thing that we get to do together. Because the horses are hers. I just get forced to take care of them and spend all the money on them. Love you, dear. And clean the stalls and feed them and take complete and total utter care of them.
And you're a pitcher, right?
And I won't catch.
Yeah.
No. There's
too much like his days in the tank in the Army, but okay.
It's a hard no for me. Yeah, I'll pitch. I won't catch.
So many jokes.
I'm going to stay out of that.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm going to stay out of that.
You and I are thinking the same thing, buddy.
Yep.
You guys need help. That's terrible.
Hey, really
How
quick.
dare you guys make fun of somebody at my age at 52 who still is able to go out and play a sport only girls played in high school, okay?
Hey, I'm not judging you. I'm just,
Chris is like, whatever, dude.
I played bar league. I mean, I still remember my team though. We were the Nads.
The Nads.
The Nads. So we'd all get together out in the middle of the field.
You guys were a bunch of nuts.
No, we'd go out in the middle of the field. We'd yell, "Go Nads!" and then we'd go to our positions.
Wow.
All right, one other non-political question: have any of you guys seen Wolverine and Deadpool?
Absolutely.
Deadpool, Wolverine?
I've not seen it.
Oh my God!
I want to see it.
It is so good.
I just haven't had time.
We were actually talking about it when you weren't on the show on Wednesday when you were.
Kevin saw a movie.
Yeah.
I saw a movie. I went and saw it at Tracy 2 Movie House.
It was great, wasn't it?
Oh, it was so good.
I heard it was good.
So many great cameos in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard.
The best line, this isn't a spoiler, but the best line, I think I think they were the bad girl said something about it's coming and it's big and it's hard, and Deadpool said, well, that's what camp counselor Kevin used to say. And literally my entire group all looked at me. So
do you know? Let's see how much Kevin paid attention during the movie. Who was the bald chick that was the bad? She was like the bad guy in the movie.
I don't know who she was. Who was she?
That was Professor X of the Professor X is in the wheelchair.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That was his sister.
Oh, I knew that. I thought you meant
sister.
who was the actress.
Yeah. Nah,
Oh,
she
okay.
was insignificant. She was British.
Okay, who was Lady Deadpool? Do you know who was in the costume
Yes.
for Lady Deadpool?
That was Ryan Reynolds' wife.
Yeah, Blake Lively.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
How'd
and
that
the kids
happen?
and the kids were his kids.
Oh, were they?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yep. I just read that now.
You know you're powerful in Hollywood when you can say, I want my wife in this film.
Well, Deadpool exists because Ryan Reynolds willed it
Right?
into an
He's done an amazing job with
Yeah.
that. Dude is like, I put him up there on a pedestal with Elon Musk with his business prowess.
Yeah.
The way he has pulled stuff off, whether
Yeah.
it's a gin company
Yeah.
or
Owning that
Wrexham
soccer club.
Yeah. And if you want something fun to do that really has no meaning whatsoever, sit down and just binge watch Wrexham, the series that's being made and has been produced about the soccer club, and him and his partner, who was the guy off It's Sunny in Philadelphia. I forget his name though, but that guy actually had a cameo in the Deadpool Wolverine as well.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of the Marvel movies because the whole multiverse thing just becomes too much.
That was where they lost me.
Yeah, exactly.
I stopped watching them at that. I was like, okay, this is dumb.
Yeah, like the Spider-Man one was cool just because they had all 3 Spider-Mans in it. But
Right.
you get into like Doctor Strange and all those, it's just too much for me. But this movie was phenomenal.
I mean, it's physics.
Phenomenal.
So I can understand where it
No,
might lose
don't
you
be
somewhere
little
along the
me,
line.
you douche canoe.
Have you ever read a comic book?
Well, I've read comic books, but I don't
Okay.
read them now. I'm an
it's
adult.
like-
I'm
it's
a
like-
grown-ass man.
It's are you saying that people that read comic books, Kevin, choose your words very carefully. People that are like into comic books as adults are not grown-ass men. Is that what you're saying?
I think if that's their primary source of literature, yeah. Yeah, I do.
What about their primary source of income, Kevin?
Well, that's smart
different
business.
if it's a business.
That's smart business.
There is a business in this building, the collector's corner
Mm-hmm.
downstairs. I'm watching that guy gobble up half the damn building.
Yeah.
His shop just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's all Marvel comics.
But those are collectibles. That's no different than cars
Or Funkos.
or
Barbies.
what?
Funkos, is that what they're called, Kevin?
Funkos.
Funkos, yeah.
What's that?
The Funko Pops?
Like I had no
No
idea
idea
what they
what
are.
you're talking about.
Don't feel bad, Chris.
Oh,
I didn't know
I'll
what they
show you a
were.
picture of some Funkos just to give you an idea what they look like.
So many weird things here in Washington State.
No, it's not just
Funkos.
Washington State,
No,
man.
it's all
Down
over the
Los
place.
Angeles, just outside.
Oh, that's
SoFi
even
Stadium.
worse.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg has a store devoted to Funko Pops.
So these are what Funko Pops look like. They're in a box.
my
They're minute.
God.
They're a new.
But they are.
They're
Oh my
21st
God.
century Barbie.
But they're movies, wrestling, baseball, football.
Okay, so
yeah.
so we're all about
They're-
the same age.
yeah.
When you were a kid, you remember Garbage Pail Kids?
Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah.
Okay, that is today's version of Garbage Pail Kids.
For sure. For
That's
sure.
That's all that is.
It's like they're like new bobbleheads. In fact, I thought they were bobbleheads.
Right. Oh, that's not a bobblehead?
No, I don't think
Oh,
so. Kevin,
it
they're not
looks like a
bobbleheads,
bobblehead.
right?
No, they're
okay.
kind of like a bobblehead, but they're not a bobblehead.
Okay.
They don't bobble.
Because
I don't.
bobbleheads were huge in the 90s.
I don't
Yeah.
take them out of the box because then you lose your value. But I have one that I bought that's now worth about 12 times what I bought it for.
Sure.
I got the Legion of Boom one, which is worth $150. It cost $30 to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. I've only got about 200 of them. So, but no wife. Fancy that.
But damn those dudes that read comic books. Yeah, listen.
If your
it's all
primary
good to collect
literature,
stuff, man. It's fun.
Yeah.
If your no, I'm not saying about collecting, but if your primary literature is reading comic books, then you have to step up a little bit in the world.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know anybody
Yeah.
whose primary literature is reading comics.
Hi, Joey. Love you, buddy.
That's
All right.
messed up, dude. That's messed up. He's one of your best friends.
And he listens to this
He's
show.
such a
all the time,
jackass.
too. He's gonna be so mad. I'm not even going to tell him I did it. I'm just going to wait for him to reach out to me tomorrow after he listens to the show.
That's funny.
All right, let's get back to some political stuff.
Yeah,
real quick.
let's do it.
All right. Well, hold on. Corey said, "Really, Kevin, coming from a guy who is a stand-up video arcade games? Yeah, I do because I'm a collector. Thank you." Chris said that was okay because it's a collector thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to take a second and point something out, right? Because as we're going on in this conversation, everybody puts out their mailers, right?
Uh-huh.
And the one thing that I want to make sure the listeners know, like, it is completely legal for you to completely BS yourself on a mailer. Like, you don't have to tell the truth, folks. You can completely lie and make stuff up. Is that not correct, Chris? So if I said to you, Chris, I'm going to put out this mailer because I'm running against your guy.
Okay.
And I'm going to say everything he said is a lie, but then not tell you what that lie is. That's okay, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. But
you can't make up material facts. Like, you can't say, I graduated from the Naval Academy in 1998.
Well, because
and
that's
didn't.
illegal.
And you didn't graduate from the
Right.
Naval. You can't do that.
Yes, you can't make
Right.
up facts,
Right,
right?
exactly.
And that's where we get into things like defamation
Yeah.
of character,
Right,
and
exactly.
tort laws and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, but you can be vague,
Sure.
and completely BS your way through these mailers,
Yes.
like a recent one was done.
Yes.
And I will say this, and I'm sure that you have seen these. I was shocked because I've always felt that at least the last 20, 30 years, it's been kind of an unwritten rule, right? We leave kids out of it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I was shocked when a local candidate put his kids on the front cover with the title "Stop Lying About Our Dad," and then provided no information whatsoever
Right.
about whatever the supposed lies were.
Right.
Because people believe that.
Yeah, you're right. They do. Some do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the dad that you're referring to has a website that is cited. That's the thing. Whenever I put out whenever I politically hit an opponent,
Mhm.
I always cite my source. Period.
Citation's really important.
Right. So that way it boxes them in. And so, and there's an art to this. Now, in politics, there's something called the dark arts, which I do not get involved in.
Nancy Pelosi gave an interview about that.
So that, yes, she did. And so the dark arts is not something that I necessarily get involved in. But I do know practitioners, I do know GCs like me who do.
Mm-hmm.
Ethically, just it's a business decision for me, I don't do that. But if it's true, like, let me give you an example. If I do Oppo on you and I pull a bunch of stuff up, and what I pull up on you is citable, sourceable, findable to the public, okay? It's all fair game. I'm going to run it,
Mhm.
okay? If I find out that you molested puppies when you were 10 and no one knows about that, I'm not running that. I'm not here to cripple you or to ruin your life or to destroy your family. If you're having an affair and no one knows about it, but my private investigator found about it, I'm not going to mail the photos to your wife and try to wreck you. That's not my job. My job is to get my guy elected, and it's not my job to wreck you personally.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
That's the line that I draw. I don't attack people's spouses unless they're politically involved.
Mm-hmm.
I do not. Minor kids, whether they're politically involved or not, are off the table, period, full stop.
Yeah.
Right? I don't attack people's children. I don't go after their business partners. These different things. There's rules. Those are my rules.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay? Not all GCs run it that way.
Correct. Yes,
Okay?
they do not. That's for
so
sure.
I don't believe you got to play like that to win. I can create all kinds of nasty narratives that are very difficult to get out of just by telling the truth. Every one of my clients, you could call every one of them right now and ask them, what was one of the first things Chris told you when he brought you onto DHB? Every one of them will tell you that don't lie. That's the first thing I tell people, don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you lie to yourself, you lie to me, you lie to the public, and it gets found out, you're hosed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And definitely don't lie to me, because if I find out you lied to me and then we get into a bad situation, it's going to be a problem.
Have you had to fire clients before?
Yes.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me what I've seen from you since we met. I get it, man. I get it,
Yep.
and I know for you, you're saying it's a business decision, but it's really also it's an ethical issue for you, right?
Period.
I mean, it's a morality thing.
100%.
Yeah.
I have certain hard rules. I don't take on pro-choice clients.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I'm a pro-life guy. I'm a constitutional conservative. I don't take on candidates who believe in the subversion of the U.S. Constitution or the state constitution,
Mm-hmm.
right? It is what it is. I don't like in the Washington Constitution that abortion is legal.
Right.
Okay? But it's in the Constitution.
Yep.
And so if we want to change it, there's a legislative way to change it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or there's an initiative process to change it. And so we need to exhaust all available things to change it.
Yeah, you got to work within the system as it exists.
So does this mean
exactly
you have no desire to be Tara Simmons GC then?
No, I will not.
I
will let Matt
sorry, Tara.
or
He's taken. Sorry.
No.
I'm just imagining the meeting with you and Tara Simmons at the same table.
I would be respectful of her. I mean, we're not going to agree on
Tara.
anything.
I do. I love Tara.
We're not going to. I would would sit down and have a drink with her, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to work together ever on anything.
Yeah. I do. I love Tara. I really do. I don't agree with all of her politics, but as a person, I love Tara. People are going to blast me in chat in 3, 2, 1. All right. Okay.
I don't think there's any denying the fact, though, that she's got some issues now that she's got to deal with. We've built a good relationship with her here on this show because up until, maybe about 6 months ago, I was still able to reach out to her and get responses from her, and she did a good job of being open to us in our questions. And I give a lot of props for that because a lot of Democrats don't.
That's fact.
And so, that's a good thing. And she, in fact, for those that don't know, when we went to go sit down and have our first meeting with her, when those packets went around to key individuals, Kevin had to basically sit down with her ahead of time over I think it was a cup of coffee or something, right? And he basically said, "Look, Paul won't be mean to you. It's okay to come on the show."
We did,
and
we have a bad
you had
rep.
to allay her fears.
We have a bad rep among Democrats, and I don't know why.
Me neither.
You have no idea why.
Ask Matt Macklin. Ask Irene Bowling. Ask any Democrat we've had on here. Who was the one we just had? Bryn Felix.
Bryn, yep.
I mean, I think they would all say that we were fair to them and gave them room to answer the questions, and we didn't dogpile on them or go after them with gotcha, crap. I don't know why so many Democrats are afraid unless they have a thin skin and they're just scared. Yeah, but go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
No, that was all I was bringing up, Kev.
So in disclosure, I reached out to Tara yesterday, or maybe it was the day before. I got a very short message from her that she would respond later, and she hasn't yet. But again, I don't expect her to. I mean, Matt Macklin's her attorney, and he's told her to shut up.
Right.
I mean that respectfully, but he's basically said, "Don't say nothing."
Matt. I heard he was in the chat room.
He was earlier. I don't know if he still is.
Okay, well, Matt, listen, I got a question for you if you're still in the chat room. Because for those that are into local issues, we've seen now that this lawsuit that's been filed by the little restaurant down in Olalla, where you were on Friday night, he told us when he was in studio last Sunday he was going to be there on Friday night. And so I'm hoping that he's not going to get involved with that, considering he's running for Kitsap County Commissioner. So, but I'll let him answer that question. I just wanted to throw it out there. Because he was very open on air that he was going down there to an event Friday night, and Friday is when they published the fact that they filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the county. So,
wow,
and that would certainly be a conflict, wouldn't it? I would think.
Well, if he was going down, he just said he was going down there. He didn't say there was an event or something. And it's a nice little place, and I love it. And I hope that if the county is really doing the things that's alleged in the lawsuit, I hope the county makes all that stuff go away, or they cut a fat check, because that place is a little diamond in the rough for that community in Olalla, and they're all that's there. So.
And really, there's more goats in Olalla than people.
I lived in Olalla, Jack Wagon.
I know you did.
Yeah.
And then you left, and now there's more goats there than people. I have a question for you from the chat, and this chat question is pointed at you, Chris.
Okay.
But I'm going to ask you anyway because I got to do it. So Bruce said, Chris, how did you handle Culp's left out lies and overexertion of experience? Just curious.
I'm not sure what he's referring to as far as lies go. Lauren never overstated his experience.
Okay.
Period. I mean, he was in the Army. He was a law enforcement officer. He owned a construction company for a number of years, a paving company. They did residential paving and cement work.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the chief of police of Republic, Washington. Small department. I think it was him and one other officer, and then that officer had his job cut and sent to. So it was him and his dog, right? I mean, that was it. We were always pretty open about it. We took a lot of hits for it, right? Lauren's claim to fame, so to speak, was when he gave the middle finger to Inslee on Fox News and said, "I am not going to enforce this unconstitutional gun ban," right? And so he was He was either the first or the second. I think he was the first law enforcement officer in the state to come out and make that statement. And then others followed suit. And his stance was it's not constitutional, not the state constitution, let alone the U.S. Constitution. As far as his lies, I'm not sure what he lied about.
Bruce, we're a bit of an interactive radio show. As you can see, we're asking questions as you post them. So just stating not true doesn't tell us anything.
It doesn't help.
You got to really say he lied about X, Y, or Z.
I mean, tell me what he lied about. And well, now there were lots of lies made about him, right? And there was a couple lawsuits that, like when you're a law enforcement officer, you get sued, right? Yep. Or if there's an issue with law enforcement, everyone gets sued, right? They sue the department, they sue you. If you were sitting in the car, but he's the one that made a problem, they're suing everybody. And then what ends up happening is the judge, before it goes any farther in the process, he basically adjudicates through who needs to be here and who doesn't. It's like you, no, you, yes, you were involved, you, no, you, get out of here, you, yes, blah, blah, blah. And then, so both of the cases that they brought against Lauren, Lauren was dismissed from the case. He had nothing to do with it, just like we said. And those are really the only two things that the other Republicans, the supporters of Freed and that whole crew, really brought against him, but it had no merit.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was it.
That's fair. All right.
How about what?
How about the case he failed on? You probably.
I think there was a case or something about some child abuse or something.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah. It was claiming that he covered for a child molester.
Yeah, that's right.
And that he refused to prosecute child molestation. I know the details of that case. Lauren Culp made one interview on that person because they were shorthanded on deputies because of Ferry County, because Ferry County's got, not very many, deputies.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
like Olala. Yeah.
he was called in. He did one interview with this person, filed his report. That was all he had to do with it. So when she brought the lawsuit, of course he was named. And then it took forever to get through the adjudication process, and then once it came to the court, he wasn't involved in it.
They tossed it.
Yeah, they tossed it. That happened all the way back in 2022.
Yeah.
So I don't know what this guy Bruce. I love you, but you're a little confused on your facts there, pal.
All right. So we're gonna go to break. When we come back, we're gonna get back on some political topics. I don't know, Paul. Do you have any more local you want to get into before we go a little national?
No more local, man. I'm localed out.
Are you localed out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those I will say this, man. I had no compunction whatsoever. Like I went on. There was a big thread on Michelle Caldier's Facebook page, and she was talking about all these people that support her that are within the Washington State Legislature. And I just went on there. I said, well, I just want to know why you voted yes on, what was it, 1460 or
1469? Yeah,
1469. I said, I'll wait. And I've seen about 20 or 30 people have responded to that, and I haven't bothered to go back and look because, I'm just hoping. I just wanted to stir up a little bit of water, catch some fish, man.
Hold on. We're going to go on the Facebook side in a second. If you're on AM, enjoy the commercials, patronize our sponsors, and drink more of Tom's alcohol.
It helps.
It's making him like a fish. He's swimming in it. All right, Outlaw Radio. Outlaw Radio.
I got haters. Lawrence got haters. Oh my God. H-Rock.
They don't like you?
None of them.
No. The House Republican Caucus.
Yeah.
You're not a fan. They're not a fan of yours.
No. I call them names and make fun of them, and they're the butt of jokes and different things.
You treat them like I treat Caldeer then. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Look, there are some fucking issues, man. I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm watching Michelle Caldeer, and she's running this campaign all over social media. Yet she's got very few independent donors, right? I mean, just very few.
Very few.
Now, I'm not like you. I can't read that and know what that means. You probably can. But I'm like, okay, so because she's getting money from other groups, right? She's getting
the lobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't count.
And so, but it's like but it still counts in the sense that, okay, she's got money, and so she can put out
Sure.
these mailers that say, you
Sure.
lie about my daddy.
Yeah.
So that stuff still, it's happening, right?
Mhm.
And the money's still there, and she's got good name recognition because she's been sitting in that position for so long.
Yeah.
Yet, I watched the Kitsap County Republican Party endorse her. This is a woman who just a couple of years ago assaulted somebody in your reorganization meeting, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Like, we had members of that party in here denouncing her.
Right.
And you know who you are if you're listening, right? And now you're like, well, she's done a good job voting for us the last couple of years. But yet, on the other hand, I'm hearing she's hardly even caucusing with Republicans. I'm like, people, I'm going to say, this is a fucking issue, man. This is an issue. How do you vote yes on 1469 and then look at me straight in the face and say you give a fuck about kids? Like, these do not marry well.
All right, hold on. We're coming back on AM. We'll get Chris's response to that in a second. It's Outlaw Radio. Back after this. .com.
I'm Brandy Cruz, host of the Undivided Podcast, and you're listening to Outlaw Radio. Good luck.
We did get a comment from Bruce, by the way, for you, Chris. It said, thanks for the clarity, Chris. You rock. Not confused. I studied it as an ex-investigator.
Okay.
So
I mean, fair enough, Bruce, and I really appreciate your kindness and being a gentleman on this. And I'm not trying to be, cocky or arrogant at all. It's just that there was a lot of disinformation and misinformation that was, kind of cast out like chum into the water to get, the fish out there biting.
Mm-hmm.
But during the 2022 race, Bruce, when Lauren unsuccessfully ran for Congress, the Goomba he ran against, Jared Sessler, decided to put all that stuff out and knowing that it was untrue. And then I actually have somewhere in my emails the documentation of the final adjudication on these things to where Lauren was not involved. So I'd be more than happy if you reach out to me. I'm on Facebook, find me, and I can send you that. They're actually public documents. So,
but all of that, I guess, big picture, because that's not new for elections, right? I mean,
No.
It's the whatever, the rumor mill, the misinformation monster, whatever you want to call it. How do we get that out of politics?
You don't.
How do informed voters mitigate that then?
So by doing their own research and citing sources, holding people accountable. At the end of the day, this is something I write about in my book, and it's one of the first lines in the book. It says, politics is sales. It's a sales and marketing effort that you do for a period of 6 to 18 months, depending on how long or how large of a race you're running. And at the end of the day, politics is about closing the deal. And the buyer, you are the product, and the buyers are the voters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're out there to sell yourself. And you hire a guy like me to craft that narrative and to put together the sales attack. So think about it. It's all marketing, door-to-door sales, right? Remember back in the day, people selling Kirby vacuum cleaners, right? Knocking on doors.
Oh my,
right?
The
And
Kirby's.
so, okay, you're doing mailers. Who else does mailers besides everybody from Burger King to mattress stores to everybody does okay. Who runs TV commercials besides everybody? Who runs radio besides everybody? Who runs it's all sales and marketing. That's all it is.
What? So my problem though is I don't think the average American spends more than 6 or 8 minutes probably filling out their ballot.
Sure, and that's what most candidates are banking on.
Yep.
The fact that you don't care enough to know, and that's why timing is so important. So I just sent out mailers that are going to hit tomorrow. Well, some hit yesterday. They're going to hit tomorrow. It's about timing.
100%, man. We talk frequently, in fact, every year at election time, about the uninformed electorate.
Yep.
Like
The lemmings.
People just don't know jack squat about who or what they're voting for.
And they don't care.
90%, right. They just don't care.
Right.
My wife asks me pretty frequently, she's like, well, how come you stay with the show? How come you do it? It's the only way we can make a difference. It's the only way to make a difference in this world right now.
Yeah.
Unless you're like I see, we all see, and Kevin and I see it from different perspectives, but we both see the things going wrong with this country, right? So how do we have any impact on that? We engage in conversation.
Well,
That's it.
Apathy. The problem isn't campaigning. I know it might seem like it. That's the symptom. The problem is apathy.
Yeah.
They just don't care.
Yeah.
Right. And I can't Okay, so I'll give you an example. The hardest place in Washington State. There are 39 counties in this state. I have campaigned in all 39. Okay. The hardest place to campaign in this state is the 4th legislative district, which is the very center of the state that goes from Canada all the way down to Oregon.
Okay.
That includes Yakima, it includes Moses Lake, it includes Omak, it includes Tri-Cities.
Yeah.
That whole area there is the most difficult place to campaign.
So where my wife's from.
Not because they're not good people. There are a lot of amazing, salt of the earth, like good, strong, conservative people, right? They just know what they believe, and then that's it, and there's nothing else to talk about. So they're not going to come out to your rally.
I got you.
They're not going to come out to your little political meeting.
They already know it all.
They already know what they believe. They don't want to hear anything more about it, right? But the undecideds, there's a lot of apathy. Like there's just so much apathy.
A lot of people believe their vote doesn't matter.
That's exactly right. And the Republican Party shot themselves in the head, literally almost, from about 2020 forward by the whole "it's rigged" narrative.
Okay.
Now I'm not saying
I thought
that
you were going to say since 2 Fridays ago.
No. Since 2020, the whole "it's rigged" thing. Now I'm not saying that there aren't irregularities. I'm not saying that there isn't vote or ballot stuffing. I'm not saying that our system is great. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But putting out the narrative that it's rigged ultimately gets into the head of the voters. Why even vote?
Yeah.
And so now we've got a 15 or 16% voter turnout this cycle, presidential cycle.
Yep.
So not only, it's like we were talking about earlier, not only are people unenthused with the top of the ticket at the presidential level, they're unenthused at the senatorial level, they're unenthused at the gubernatorial level, they're unenthused in all the statewide races, and then it goes all the way down. So people, when they fill out their ballots, they're not going to undervote, meaning not vote. They're not going to undervote those top of the ticket stuff and then vote for Jesse Young in just in this district or just in this race.
Yeah.
Right. They're not gonna vote in the county commission race and not vote in all the others. They're just gonna not vote.
Yep.
I'm
right there with you, man.
Right. And so that's a problem. And unfortunately, we're in a place where it's kind of a downward spiral, and maybe one day things will get so bad, like in Venezuela.
Interesting choice.
Right? Because they just had a rigged election.
Yeah, clearly rigged.
To the point that even Secretary Blinken, who was a total dope, even came out and said, yeah, that one was kind of rigged, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he was like losing by like 30 to 70%.
Right.
And then came out and said, yep, I won. What?
My wife was just out today in Vegas doing a protest against Venezuela because my wife is Bolivian. And she's very much involved in human rights and electoral stuff in South America and Central America. And she was out protesting against Maduro and so forth, trying to have him. The president of the OEA, the Organization of American States, is going to do an investigation into Venezuela, and hopefully we're trying to get him ousted. It's not even ousted; it's just removed from office because
you lost.
It was rigged.
Yeah. Well,
right?
It's not the first time, right, that he's rigged it, and people have tried to remove him from office. We've seen it before already.
Chavez rigged it.
Yeah.
Maduro was Chavez's bus driver.
Yes.
Right? That's what a lot of people. The dude is certifiably stupid, low IQ. Like literally room temperature
But
IQ.
wields power nonetheless.
But wields power.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. So, and we have a room temperature IQ presidential candidate in Kamala Harris.
Oh. Can we talk about that? I don't know where you had things planned, Kev. I don't know where you had things planned.
We can. One thing I will say is in the next hour, I haven't asked our fine guest yet, but I think we need to have. We haven't done this in a while. We need to have a little competition.
We're not playing right or racist.
Chris
dude.
against Tom against Paul.
No, we're not doing right or racist.
I think we are.
No.
I can't do that, man. I got clients.
Have you heard what right or racist
I
is?
got clients, man. I can't do that.
Hold on. Can I tell you what it is? And then you can, and if you don't want to do it, you don't
Well,
have
it's
to.
in the name.
It's a card game, right? And I read a statement. And you have to pick. Is this statement true or is it based on a stereotype?
I can't do that.
Okay,
I've got
fine.
clients,
Okay.
and I can just see that on a mailer.
That's fine.
I can see that on a
I'll tell you
mailer.
right now, folks.
Oh.
That was the bravest and smartest decision Mr. Gergen's ever made.
I can't do it. There's certain things like Chris can't do.
Yeah,
that's
All
one
right.
of them.
Good. Go ahead, Paul. What did you want to talk about?
Well,
nationally?
so this is what this started it off for me.
Oh, hold on. Before you do this, because we're 2 minutes away from break.
Yep.
Can I bring up something funny about national? 4 minutes away from break, and then when we come out of the break, then we'll get into it because I don't want to get into it and just be sinking our teeth in it and then have to stop for a break.
This is why you're single. No, I'm kidding. I love you guys.
Okay, have you guys heard? Have you guys heard the latest story about RFK Jr.?
What about him?
I'm going to read this off of CNN. Okay, because I can't make this crap up.
There's a good news source.
You ready for this? Check this out.
The people who said Trump fell on the stage today.
Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said in a social media video on Sunday that he drove a dead bear cub carcass from upstate New York and placed it in a New York City Central Park 10 years ago. In the video, which he posted to his Twitter account, Kennedy told actress Roseanne Barr, okay, roll your eyes, about traveling through New York's Hudson Valley to go hawking and coming across a young bear that had been hit and killed by another driver. He says in the video he decided to put the dead bear in his car. Quote, I pulled over and I picked up the bear and I put him in the back of my van because I was going to skin the bear. It was in very good condition. I was going to put the meat in my refrigerator. Kennedy then told Barr he spent the day hawking before driving to New York City for dinner.
Wait, he spent the day doing what?
Hawking.
Tua?
Hawking.
Wow.
Before driving to New York City for dinner with the bear still in his car. At the end of the dinner, Kennedy said he had to go to the airport and couldn't take the bear back to his home. So he broached to friends the idea about taking the bear to Central Park and making it appear as if a biker had hit it. Quote, I had an old bike in my car that somebody had asked me to get rid of. And I said, let's go put the bear in Central Park and we'll make it look like he got hit by a bike, Kennedy says in the video.
Yeah, because black bears in Central Park are common.
That makes sense.
Quote, everybody thought that's a good idea. So we did that, and we thought it would be amusing for whoever found it or something.
How much were they drinking?
So he put this out in a video today because a newspaper in New York basically threatened to out him about it because they found the video. So he just put the video out. This is a guy that I see people with signs in their yards advocating we vote for him for president. He literally carried a dead bear cub carcass across the entire state of New York, put it in Central Park with a bicycle so that he could sham people into thinking the bicyclist killed the cub. I don't.
Maybe we need a president with a sense.
This
of humor.
dude is the Looney Tunes.
Maybe we need a sense of humor.
This
in
dude
the
is
White House.
Looney
I don't know.
Tunes. Looney Tunes.
I got nothing. I don't even know what to say to that. I got nothing. His staff, I guarantee, I know how his GC feels right now. He's sitting there with like a big bottle and he's just drinking, like, trying not to remember, praying to God this is a bad dream.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And tomorrow he's going to ask his friend to shoot him in the face. So
this guy has got no shot. Hey, again, we're right up against break, so just yes or no. I made a bet with Robert Parker.
Okay.
And I bet that Sammy Bird would win the nomination, and he bet Dave Reichert, and the loser has to buy the winner a bottle of tequila of the winner's choice.
Nice bottle of tequila.
Huh? Primary.
Primary.
Is there any chance that I'm going to get tequila, or am I pretty much guaranteed I've got to buy tequila for Robert Parker? He picked Reichert, I picked Bird.
I mean, I would say probably learn some Spanish.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So it's just maybe a little hola.
And it's going to be a very expensive bottle
¿Cómo
of tequila,
estás?
too. It's going to be a very expensive bottle
For
of
those that
tequila.
haven't been listening to this show very long, whenever Kevin makes a bet and he uses
he loses.
something akin to like it will be this or it will be that, those who deal in absolutes lose so much credibility. I think we should change your name to Absolute K-Dog. Like
I thought we're not dealing with absolute. It's tequila, right? Not absolute.
Absolute vodka.
Well, then I'm going to say this right now. It is absolutely 100% certain that Kamala Harris is going to run for the White House because I win either way.
I mean,
if she wins, I can finally say I was right in my absolute statement. And if she loses, she's not the president.
You know who will commit suicide before the inauguration day if Kamala Harris becomes
Who's
president? Hillary Clinton.
All right. Paul's going to ask some questions about the presidential campaign with Chris Gergen.
I got some damn
political
questions.
strategist, founder of Dark Horse Political.
Not to be confused with Dark Horse Comics.
No, sir.
Back to
real men don't.
Back after this. Outlaw
Dark
Radio.
Horse.
Stop it. Can I just get Mexican tap water, put it in a tequila bottle, and give it to Robert?
It probably tastes the same.
You know, tell him it was really expensive.
Tom will appreciate this. You know what you can do?
It's like the hint of tequila.
That's right.
You can buy well tequila, which is actually just tequila flavored vodka.
Yes.
No?
No, he gets
No
to
bueno?
pick. The bet was the winner gets to pick their bottle.
Oh.
So I'm going to be
Now,
screwed.
and you guys were saying earlier about Kamala. And just remember, Kevin has won as many primaries as Kamala.
Yes, I
Hell,
have.
Kevin's got as many votes from the Democratic Party as Kamala.
I heard Bill Maher say that, you know how Bill Maher every once in a while will come up with something just savage.
Every once in a while, yeah.
And he goes, Kamala Harris, he goes, so the Democrat Party has chosen Kamala Harris, who has won enough Democrat delegates to count on one hand if that hand had no fingers.
Yep. That was his. That was on his interview with Megyn Kelly, I think.
I think it was, yeah.
It is
was
amazing.
Just savage.
It is amazing to me that they didn't at least put up the facade that this was going to be handled at the convention. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
at least pretend, at least try to fool us.
Do you think, Chris? Because I understand where Kevin's point is, but I don't think they had a choice.
Well, they don't. They're to a place now where they're not trying to hide their true intentions anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that they're throwing Kamala up? They expect her to lose. Is she the sacrificial lamb for this cycle? Or do you think that they're going to put everything they have because they think that I personally think that Trump's got so much baggage that he's probably not the strongest he could be right now. But I think Kamala has a record that is horribly bad.
So you have to consider all things within their context. So Kamala Harris, so when you look at the Democrat bench, she's the sitting VP.
Mhm.
Okay. And they're going to run their narrative about, Bidenomics and the most jobs, and it was a team effort and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Right?
Right. I mean,
So they're going to attribute all the wins that they were going to try to give to Biden. They're going to attribute that to her because she was in the room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. She's in the same building. Right.
Yeah.
That counts. Right. So, well, the
Same town.
Yeah. Right. Same town. So the reality is that who else do they have?
Mhm.
Right. Newsom. Okay, but California, are we on the air or are we just on Facebook?
Just on Facebook.
California's a shithole.
Yeah.
What?
Full stop. Oh, we are? Oops.
Well, he was quoting.
Sorry.
Yeah, he was quoting. That's
I'm
allowed.
quoting.
Quotes are allowed. Okay.
So,
God bless it.
Sorry about that, man.
No, it's okay, man.
Just send the
It's
fine.
my
to-
fault. I'm the one that
just
told you
send
to
the
do
fine
it,
to
man.
me. I'll send it back to you.
You're
But
listening to
just send it-
KBRO.
So the reality is that they really don't have a bench, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what? The governor of New York, she isn't electable.
Yeah, no. Kathy Hochul?
Yeah, Hochul. Yeah, she's not electable. Okay, Buttigieg, he wasn't electable the last time.
Kevin still can't say his name right. He calls him Bukaki.
Right. Well, that. Oh no.
He had
So-
no idea what it meant.
Hey,
So-
Biden in the AI called him booty juice. So, whatever.
So
wait, did you? We need to find that video again and play it for him when we go on Facebook only again, because we got a special video from the Oval Office from Joe Biden right after he agreed that he was not going to run for re-election. We're going to play it for you. Can we find that and
Great.
play that top of the hour? Thank you, Phil.
So I mean, they don't have a bench.
Right.
Right. There's
Agreed.
no. Okay. So Harris is the gal. Okay. So you look at. Okay. So we're going to bring in Big Mike, Michelle Obama. Right. So Big Mike can't get there.
Stop it. I love.
So Big Mike has never had a job, and First Lady doesn't count.
Right.
Okay. Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is. She's done, right? So she's had her run.
I would like to think so. I
She's
hope
ran
so.
twice.
Yeah.
Right. But The difference between Hillary and Michelle was that Hillary didn't run for president until she'd been Secretary of State and a senator.
There was some experience there.
Okay, so Big Mike's got none of that.
Right.
So she's not electable.
Right.
Okay.
Big Mike.
And then you've got, so who else you got? Who else can we pull off the bench? So who else? So now we're going to run maybe a celebrity, right? So no, there's no real celebrities out there that have the juice to get there.
Right.
So they've got no one. Their only option, they're about to crap their pants over who they're going to pick for the VP. And in fact, Buttigieg is on that short list.
Yeah.
It's the governor of Pennsylvania.
So
that's what I'm pretty sure.
Very well could be because they have to win Pennsylvania.
He creates more problems for them. He's Jewish.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's legitimately that's a serious issue right now for them.
So it's they've got problems.
Yeah.
And they know it.
Yeah, the party of identity politics, baby. This is what it gets you.
All of this. So when you take all this, comes back to turnout. All of this problem, American eyes glaze over. All they know is that things are expensive. They don't know why.
Yep.
I hope we don't get into another war,
which is coming.
Yep. Right, because the military-industrial complex has got to.
They're broke.
They got to get paid. So, there's a coming economic. I won't say apocalypse,
but
it's
right.
going to be a deep
All the
correction.
indicators are there. Yeah.
Right. I'm not giving financial or tax advice, but I'm just saying, stock market doesn't go up in perpetuity forever.
Correct. Went down 600 points on Friday.
So we've had a 14-year bull run, right, which is absolutely unprecedented.
Yeah.
So the reason the S&P and NASDAQ and all that is an average return is because the highs and the lows average to a certain return over time.
Yes.
When you have 14 years above that average, the correction is savage, which is what happened in 08.
The way that you just put that, thank you for that. I think that really kind of hits home for a lot of people. You're right, and a brilliant use of verbiage, right? That correction will be savage.
It will be savage. It will be fast, it will be decisive, and it will be exceedingly painful.
And my 401k is going to get beat to snot.
Right? I mean, that's just a reality of it.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the housing market. We're already seeing, they're not even talking about it on the news, like the commercial markets. I don't know about in Washington, but I know in Nevada, and I know in a lot of other places, you've got empty buildings.
Yes.
Fully empty buildings. In fact, in some of these cities, they're turning the buildings that they can't fill into apartment complexes, or they're putting the homeless in those buildings.
I just had a company reach out to me. They wanted to subcontract through my contracting company. They want me to go around and take a single photograph to prove occupancy or no occupancy of homes that are in pre-foreclosure.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, there's not enough money in it for me to do that, right? They're like, we have $300 to $400 a month in your area. How many?
Right.
$300 to $400 a month.
Yep.
In the 983 zip code area. I'm like, that's insane. Would you have thought that we had that many people on any given month that are in pre-foreclosure status? That, to me, is like this freaking blue light special light going off, man.
Yep.
That's insane.
And yet property values are still going through the roof.
Right.
They're running up. The supply and demand idea doesn't work.
Well, no, that's not true. It does work, but what has happened is that the economy has detached itself from supply and demand, and now it's attached entirely to speculation, right? And so what's going to happen is that when the markets go down, average Americans lose their home. Companies like BlackRock are going to come in through proxies
that's right.
and through the banks to buy up all these properties. It's going to be one of the largest transfers of wealth. You have to understand something. The boomer generation, they're all dying. They're going to be dead all of them within 10 to 15 years. Okay, so that generation will be gone. Is the largest wealth transfer. We've been talking about this for 20 years. When I was a financial planner, this is all we talked about.
Because you knew financial planning, you looked at the future, you knew what's coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is something I've talked about with the whole China thing.
You talk about it with China. Yes, you're big on China.
Well, I'm big on the global picture, but
right. Focusing on China.
So you've got this trillions of dollars of transfer of wealth from one generation to the next that in generations past was typically most of it inherited by the generation it went to. But now that we have income taxes and this taxes and that taxes and death taxes and all these different things, and then you've got the markets detached from reality, meaning supply and demand.
Yep. Right.
So what happens is the market dips its net in, sucks up a lot of those dollars, and only a relatively few amount of the money actually gets down to the next generation. And so that can only happen so long until the system breaks.
Yeah.
And they know it.
Yes.
So when it breaks, they don't care because they have all the money.
Mm-hmm. And to your point earlier, because we've been rising above for so long, the next correction will be, I think it's going to be, it may be short, but it's going to be incredibly painful.
Oh, it's going to be savage.
You know, with a son who's getting ready to come back from the Army and he's getting out after 6 years, he's like, Dad, will I be able to afford a house? And I'm like, as long as you get the right job and make enough money, my advice to him was, don't wait.
Right.
Don't sit around and wait. And you don't have to like the place. Just buy a place, use your VA, get it, and get into it as quickly as possible because you don't know how long it'll be before you have a chance to get back in. Prices are not coming down, and interest rates are not coming down.
But let me ask this question, though. If Chris is right and we're on the cusp of something, won't that do both of those things? I mean, if the market crashes, if we have a major correction, won't that require them to force interest rates lower? And won't that bottom out some of the property like it did back in 2008?
In what Chris said, there was a very important clue. That clue was, and the nail was hit on the head, right? How do you as a country pull yourself out of a recession almost instantly? Who's broke right now? Military-industrial complex.
Mm-hmm.
If you're about to have a correction, which I'm there with him, I believe that we are about to have that correction. Best way to pull yourself out of that correction is suddenly have a big old conflict that's got to be fought. Whether you pick it or somebody else doesn't matter, right? If you're GE, you don't care who you're fighting or why. You just want to make bombs.
Yeah. Phil?
It worked for the Depression.
It did.
It did. That was the only thing that pulled us out of the Depression.
It's right.
Because the New Deal didn't work. And, it didn't. The New Deal didn't work. There was the New Deal produced stagflation.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until FDR got us into the war that we began to pull out because we had to build bombs and bandages and airplanes. Yep. And, they retooled Ford factory and these different factories to produce planes at a record. That's the only reason we were able to compete in the war was because we were able to mass produce weapons faster than the Germans could shoot them down. And the Japanese
it's interesting how when you look at history, right? One of the things we looked at with regards to the German military-industrial complex was that they made higher quality equipment. Tanks are a perfect example, right?
Yeah.
Our Sherman tanks were nothing compared to a Tiger, okay? Nothing. But we beat them with numbers. The Russians beat them with numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Today it's the exact opposite, right? Today you can take a platoon of M1 Abrams tanks and put them up against, a battalion of T-72s,
right,
and you'll almost not lose one.
Right.
Like today, our quality has so far exceeded, and technology is the big part of that. But it brings up some interesting conversations. Not that we're going to get into those tonight, but they're very fascinating.
You know what I think could fix all this? Aliens.
Ancient alien theorists suggest.
I live by Area 51.
You just piqued Paul's interest. Now you brought up aliens, yeah.
Look, hey, you know what? In fact, I was going to bring that up, Tom, Mr. Anthropologist, because your specialty was in the Mayan people, and I did a deep dig over the last week and a half into structures that were carved into stones by the Mayans. Were one of the groups that did this. The Toltecs, the Aztecs, all of these groups, and they carved into the rock three-toed and three-fingered humanoid individuals.
The Anunnaki.
And very well could be,
Oh, no.
right? Those who from heaven to earth came. You need to do that. It is a fascinating topic, my friend, because you know what? You want to hear something interesting?
Go.
Guess where else they're finding those three-toed, three-fingered individuals carved into rocks?
Where?
All over the whole world. Anyway, just thought I'd bring that up to you. Go ahead.
Thank God, 2 minutes. Can't go fast enough.
I mean, all of my anthropological facts or knowledge or whatever, that it's 20 plus years out of date. I mean, I was watching a Nat Geo special on the Mayans, and it's like, holy crap, everything I thought I knew is just, it's out the window.
But that's why science is beautiful.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I mean,
Right. For me, that's the science. That's the beauty of science is that we know it for sure now until we don't.
For sure.
Right. And so we just have to go with it's science, true science, not trust the science. True science.
Yep.
True science doesn't trust the science.
And isn't afraid to change its mind.
That's exactly right, because you could be wrong.
Yep.
You might not have all the pieces. This is right if that didn't exist.
Well, if you're using the scientific method correctly, which I don't think very many people do anymore, you should be trying to disprove yourself all the time.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
if
exactly
you're
right.
existing in an echo chamber, you're not making any headway.
I will remind.
But you can raise a lot of money, though.
I will remind Tom. Help me out here. I will remind the millions and millions of listeners of this show that the last time Paul talked about the Mayan culture was back in 2012 when he talked about Planet X.
No,
and
it wasn't.
Nibiru.
It was 2011 when I was talking about
Yeah,
that.
thank
You got to get the year right.
I just want to make sure
It would have
that
been a
we're on the
little
same
late
page.
to talk about it after that crap was supposed to have happened.
13 years later, Paul's like, "Oh, my Mayan knowledge comes back into play. I'm gonna have to study up for this."
Good Lord, Kevin. I mean, I love you to death, but I understand that when you're struggling on a topic, dude, you gotta.
No, I'm just saying. Hey, during the no, we'll talk about that. During the Facebook side, we're gonna play our special message from Joe Biden.
Oh, dude,
and
this
if
is
you're
so
on
funny.
if you're on AM, enjoy the commercials. You're missing out. Try getting a computer. Join the internet revolution. We're back after this. It's Outlaw Radio.
Ancient alien theorists suggest Kevin maybe.
All right, so Phil, do you have the video? So again, I want to set the stage for those of you on Facebook if you didn't see this before. The night, it was a Sunday night when Joe Biden announced that he was not going to run for re-election. And we sent out a message to Joe Biden to the Oval Office because we have Pull here on Outlaw Radio, and we asked him if he would prepare and give a statement. And so we're going to play the statement twice, just because you're going to miss parts of it the first time. So we want you to hear the whole thing. So go ahead and maximize that screen, Phil. And this is the comment we got on Outlaw Radio from Joe Biden.
Don't mind the fact that it says PBS News on it, okay? Just ignore that.
Ignore that.
My fellow Americans, I want to take a moment to address some of the hateful shit you've been talking about me. Many of you have said I am suffering from brain worms, or that I have applesauce for brains. Well, I won't mince words, so here it is. Fuck you. You're all a bunch of faggots. End of quote. Repeat the line. So enjoy President Cackles or President Booty Juice? I really don't give two fucks anymore. Biden out. My fellow Americans.
Every time I hear that, I've only heard it 50 times.
My
Play it one more
fellow
time.
Americans.
Yeah, do it one more time.
I want to take a moment to address some of the hateful shit you've been talking about me. Many of you have said I am suffering from brain worms, or that I have applesauce for brains. Well, I won't mince words, so here it is. Fuck you. You're all a bunch of faggots. End of quote. Repeat the line. So enjoy President Cackles or President Booty Juice? I really don't give two fucks anymore. Biden out.
That's pretty good.
That's so wrong. So funny.
Repeat the line.
Wow.
So can you use that in your? Do you want a copy of that? I mean,
I would love a copy of that.
Would you share that with your?
I will share it with everybody. I'll share it on my Facebook page.
Dark Horse Political.
I'll share the hell out of that.
This is what we learned. This is what I learned on Outlaw Radio, and
Exactly.
then you shared. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep.
President Cackles or President.
Are we off air or are we on? Are we on
We're
Facebook?
on Facebook.
We're still on Facebook.
We're still on
for 3
Facebook.
minutes.
That's why I could play that because we're just on
Okay.
Facebook.
Okay.
All right.
Wow. You know, it's
Breaking news.
You'd have laughed your ass off, Chris. So years ago, we had on the one of the two gentlemen that filmed the original Sasquatch footage down in Northern California.
No. Okay.
This was great, man. So we made a promo out of this because Kevin started going off about how there's no fucking.
Do you want him to play the promo? The Bigfoot
And-
promo?
And well, I don't care. You can play it if you want. It's so funny. So like he's like literally asking Kevin, "Aren't you Native American? Do you pay attention to your heritage? Of course, Sasquatch is real." And Kevin's like, "There's no such thing as Bigfoot, man."
Do you have the Bigfoot promo? Okay, play this for Chris. We'll be back in a second. Go ahead.
Well, it's 3 minutes and we got less than 3. So, math, the science says it won't fit.
Is it edited for radio? It is edited for radio. We'll play it when we come back.
I don't know. That's a Dennis question.
No, it is.
It is.
It is.
Or I can-
I made it. It's edited for radio, dude. It's good.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
Corey sent me a different one that came out today.
Oh, Corey sent you a different one that came out today?
From Biden.
Oh, for another one from Biden? Will you send that over to Phil?
I have no way of receiving it.
Oh,
on this
you don't?
computer.
Okay, all right. We'll have to figure it out. All right.
You don't believe in Sasquatch?
No. You believe in Bigfoot?
I don't know.
You know what? He's open-minded enough to say, "I don't know."
I don't know.
I don't believe in Bigfoot. I
lean towards no,
Okay.
but I don't know.
Kevin, when was the last time you went camping someplace really, like, truly wild? Like, would you want to go up to my gold claim with me, which is way up high in the
Look,
Cascade
Paul.
Mountains? No, would you like to go up
Look,
with
Paul,
me?
I have
Would you
told
like to go up?
I have told you
Yeah.
a dozen times at
Yeah.
least that I would go with you.
Okay.
But I'm not even invited to your fucking house.
Nobody's invited to
let
my house.
alone,
My-
let alone to go all the way out to BFE to
Hold on,
camp up
hold
next
on.
to some
Nobody
gold
is
shaft.
invited to my house. My wife is an accountant for one of the largest automotive dealers in the state, and she's like the lead accountant. Okay?
I've been your friend for
Hold on,
25
years. Let me
years.
finish.
you might
You can't
steal
fucking
something.
interrupt her, dude. I love you, dear. If you interrupt her, she will lose her ever-loving mind.
Okay, all right.
Now, once she gets the books squared away.
What about when she
and
was living in
things are-
Bellingham during the week because she had to work out of town? You still didn't invite me to your house, so that's all a BS proposition. there, Paul.
No. I have an entire horse rescue and a whole farm I have to take care of.
God.
That takes me 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night. I don't get no time to rest.
You know what the biggest lie told at Paul's house is, Chris?
I love you.
I was just helping that sheep over the fence. Anyway, all right, we're coming back after this. It's Outlaw
Sheep are
Radio.
so warm.
Such
That's
a
right.
single prick.
What? Paul, remember that means no. All right, we're back after
He
this.
said sheep are warm.
Outlaw Radio.
Somewhere out there is a villain with the potential to serve greatness. Let's hear it for Kevin. He saved his tribe!
That's so good. I love that. That's so good.
That's a fact.
What are you showing?
So
Let me see.
last week, I don't know that it's appropriate, Kevin. I don't know that it's appropriate.
You've shown everybody but me.
It's probably not appropriate.
You're listening to the melding together.
Oh, here we go. Hold on. Pause that just for a sec.
It's
We have to set.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
So Paul wanted to play this. If you've listened to the show for a long time, you've heard this before.
We play
had
it every once in a while. It's funny.
Yeah, we had a guest on the show who not only believed in Bigfoot, but claimed that he lived with Bigfoot, that he was raised by Bigfoot for a part of his life. And I lost my ever loving mind. This is Trip in the Wayback Machine, Outlaw Radio.
You're listening to the melding together of entertainment and enlightenment. It's uncut, it's raw, and it's real. You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network.
Bigfoot! This is
And I'm not being argumentative. It's just the first thing that pops into my brain is that we find proof of other animals that are in there. That we
You're
don't feel
calling them an animal. You need to stop calling them an animal.
Well-
They're a people. They're a people.
Well-
They're a
There's nothing! There's scams and people putting fake footprints in the ground. They haven't found a carcass. They haven't found a baby. They haven't found any hair stuck to a tree.
Squirrels live in trees and they're hairy, and I have never found a squirrel.
So stop calling them an animal.
Well, no,
They
no.
have a language. They're not an animal. Stop calling them an animal. They're a people. And when people die, people take care of the people who die, right? You do your relatives and your
Sure.
friends. Everyone does. There's your answer. People take care of people.
Talking about a Bigfoot! Stop it! It's fake! It's not real! There's no Bigfoot, Big Feet, Bigfoot, anything!
They live in family groups. The family groups belong to clans. They have a culture. They have a language. They have customs. People take care of people when they die. Stop referring to them as animals. That's an outdated, theoretical position that has no base in reality.
But seriously, there's no Bigfoot. This is not conservative talk radio. Can't even go out in the woods by Paul's house when I stalk his wife without cutting myself on a branch bitch! And you think some 7-foot-tall hairy thing is gonna walk through the woods and not rip off some fur? Stop it! It's stupid!
Kevin, would you like the dummy life?
I can't have. If you believe in Bigfoot, that's fine. I'll let you tell your story. I'll let you share why you believe that Bigfoot is real. I'll let you tell the story about how you found scat in your backyard. Your wife has cheated on you with Bigfoot, and the kids. Now, maybe you've driven through Belfair and thought you've seen him. I don't know. There's no Bigfoot. I think you and I should pile in the car, go out to Paul's house, stand in the woods by his house, and make whatever we think are Bigfoot noises.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's good. Scare the guy with guns in his house. Brilliant.
Okay, here's the first problem with that.
Yeah.
You're asking a black guy to ride with you to someone's house and stand outside the window.
Yeah, but
who do you think is going to get shot?
I'm going to go out there and be like, Trojo, let's make Bigfoot noises. And I'm going to be like, oh, Bigfoot, ah! And Trojo's going to be like, hello, Bigfoot. And then they're both going to get shot. I might be fat, but I can run pretty fast.
But I can run faster than you.
All right, so that was the Bigfoot promo. Did you enjoy that, Chris?
I did.
Holy cow, he keeps going. and
Tom is
going.
dying. Tom is dying now.
Breathe,
the first time
Tom,
you've heard that, Tom?
No,
No, that's not the first time you've heard that, right?
No, it's not the first. I think it's the first time in its entirety I've heard it in a long while.
Oh, one day we'll play for you the Christmas promo that we made that had to be bleeped out every other
Oh,
word.
I've heard that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
those were both before my time.
Both before your time.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to some political stuff. Paul, are you good?
I do not like kick anybody off of Facebook. Like I don't block anybody like ever. And
you should try though. It's fun.
Right?
I do.
Yeah. Listen. I take this mentality that conversation, no matter how uncomfortable, is like the basis for change. Right. That's how it starts. Now, granted, some people are deaf, some people are mute, and you just, no matter what you say, you're not having a two-way conversation with them, and that's fine.
Right, because they're dumb.
But I saw this one today that I found was very interesting. This guy was writing out there in his hatred for Trump. He says, if you're okay with what Trump did on January 6th, F you, right? I'm like, okay, well, that's clearly shows his grasp of the English language. So I responded and said to him, but you're okay with the African-American men that Kamala Harris kept in jail in order to get free labor for the state of California.
Yes.
Right? Like, that's a real thing, folks.
Yeah. Happened.
It happened. You know, she denied people getting out of jail.
Yes. And
right?
laughed about it.
Laughed about it, yeah. Hey, Kamala, did you smell? And I think somebody finally, in fact, it might have been Bill Maher who talked about her detachment and that it's not fake when people say her laughter, that it is, oh God, what was the word that was used? It was basically saying that she gives people an uneasy feeling because she laughs whenever the topic gets difficult.
Yes.
That's her response to a difficult question or topic.
Yep.
And it's always something that she knows she doesn't have a good answer for.
So we call that a tell.
Okay, go ahead. Explain that. When you say a tell?
So it's a tell. So everybody has tics. So like if I know that I'm going to debate Lori, okay, or you're going to debate Lori and you're my client, then I'm going to watch as much game film as I can on her. And I'm going to watch everything about her. I'm going to watch the little idiosyncrasies. I'm going to watch if she reaches up and touches her ear, or if she like rubs her eyebrow, or if, she looks off to the side, or if she taps her hand, or like, I'm going to look for any physical thing, because that comes back to body discipline. Right. Okay. And so these are like pretty advanced things.
It's like poker player kind of stuff, right?
Absolutely. So it's when you're dealing with like gubernatorial races and senatorial races and federal races and stuff where there are, bless you, where there are like, where they're televised, you want to do this because body discipline is important. Face discipline is important. And so those are all little tells. Her laughter is how she creates space. So if you get asked a question, now you have a pretty quick mind because you're on radio and you're in media, and you understand that when you get asked a question, your brain is already trained on how to respond.
For sure. Yeah.
But
and two-dimensional conversation.
And that's a muscle that you had to build over time.
For sure.
Right? When you first started in media, you didn't have that muscle.
I was so bad.
Yeah, and so, we all are, right?
Yeah, it was bad.
And so for a candidate that is maybe a new candidate, you have to do things to create space. if Lori asks me a tough question, Lori, that's a great question. It's not one that I've ever been asked before. Okay, so I've created 5 seconds of space for my hamsters to start going through books trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to answer this question.
A lot of people sitting in congressional hearings do just that, right? You can tell they want a couple extra. Well, thank you, Senator. That's a great question.
Yes.
And you're just like, that ain't a great question. You're going to look like crap right now. Like,
right, but
you know it's coming.
But they're trying to remember the scripting
Yeah.
that they have on that topic.
Yeah.
Right. Because it looks even worse when you look down at your binder and you start flipping through pages and you're like, oh yeah, right there, and then you start reading out of your prepared statement. It's got to at least somewhat seem
like
authentic.
a press secretary with a 3-ring binder and a bunch of little tabs in it.
Right. And that's just part of the game. With her, she has that. So Hillary Clinton had her cough. That was a psychological trigger in her brain. She had that cough.
You're right. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Kamala has her laugh, her cackle.
Yeah.
Right?
It is disconcerting, man.
Oh,
it really is.
It really is.
Because you just every time you hear it, you're like, that's not funny.
Right.
Like, and so why did you laugh?
So Reagan, his was, well.
It's a deep subject.
Well, and then he would start and he would create space, and his brain is thinking.
Yeah.
Now he was very smooth about it.
Yeah.
And it was very like grandfatherly, and it wasn't something that was like off-putting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people don't, like with Trump. I'll give an example. He sits there, you ask him a question, and he just doesn't say anything. He just looks at you, and he thinks, and then he responds. Nothing wrong with that. That's actually a good strategy.
I was going to say that would seem to me to be pretty good because you're not given really an indication in anything.
So Sarah Palin, to give an example, Sarah Palin was dreadful at this, and she believed. Sarah Palin kind of got thrown to the wolves, but she would get asked questions she didn't know answers to, and she felt like she had to have the answers. And so she wasn't prepped properly by her staff, and then she would end up basically BSing her way through it or trying to BS your way through it, and you can't BS your way through it at that level.
For sure.
Right.
For sure.
And nor should you, frankly, to be quite honest with you.
Right.
So like when she got asked that famous question, that she screwed up, do you support the Bush Doctrine? And then she was like, deer in the headlights look, like she didn't know how to answer that. Instead of, like, she didn't have the tools to pivot on that and say, well, that depends. Which aspect of the Bush Doctrine are you referring?
Yeah.
Make them clarify, right?
Yeah.
So those are like little things. Like if you get asked a question like that, immediately turn around and make them clarify it. So if somebody says, well, it seems like the entire media, define the entire media.
Yeah.
Right? Like try to push back on it. And so Kamala apparently doesn't have those skills because she just cackles.
So we're going to demonstrate now. So was Kamala Harris a DEI hire?
Oh.
Without a doubt.
And why was she a DEI hire?
Because, again, before you got here, we were talking about the monster that the Democrats have created, let out in public, and now it's coming home.
Yeah.
So now they can't go get the white guy.
Right.
Or the white lady.
Right.
Right.
Well,
they can't.
And Joe
Now they're
Biden
boxed
said
in.
specifically, right, when he was running for office, I will announce my vice presidential running mate will be a woman.
Yes.
Well, that makes her a DEI hire. And this is something that they've worked very hard the last 3.5 years to promote within the public realm, right?
Yes.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yes.
But you can't say it.
Right.
Because you're a Republican. You can't say anything.
Absolutely.
Right? And so Donald Trump, and God bless him for this, I think he doesn't get enough credit for being willing to go into the lion's den.
Right.
Right? He almost seems like the kind of, I think it's okay to call him a politician now, that's willing to walk into the most inhospitable place imaginable, which he just did this last week.
Sure.
Right? Irrespective of what's going to be thrown at him. He had to know, he had one friendly person on that stage in Harris Faulkner.
Right.
And I don't even know who that trollop was from ABC.
Right.
Like, I didn't know who she was.
Rachel Scott.
Yeah.
Right, Rachel Scott,
And then she's like, the way that she started off that questioning and everything, like, because you know that if you're on the left and you already dislike him, you're like,
Yes.
see, bigot, racist, bad person.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You're not going to change those people's mind.
But look at the optics, though. Optically, that's something the left just doesn't understand. That the optics of everything they're doing now is just dreadful, right? So way back in the day, maybe 10 years ago, we used to have, on our side of the business, sad kid stories. That's what we called them, sad kid stories.
Okay.
Right? They would craft these narratives. It always had to do with sad kids.
If they cry,
Right?
they buy.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna paint these pictures about sad kids, right? And that's how they presented it, right? It was very, it was appeal to suburban moms and limousine liberals that are super wealthy. It's funny, I saw a comment from one of your commenters. She's a known liberal, talking about how all the Republicans are the ones that have gathered all this money and et cetera, et cetera. It's stupid. Like, the guy that owns BlackRock is a Democrat and a globalist.
For sure.
The heads of Disney, Democrat, globalist.
Look at the new
heads
O'Keefe Media Group report on Disney. Yeah.
All the heads of are any of the media companies owned by conservatives? No, I'm talking about the major ones.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Rupert Murdoch, his kids are in control now, right? And they're trying to take Fox
their
even to the
kids.
left.
They're right now. That's all up for
Right.
contention. It's
Yeah.
got to be adjudicated by a judge.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, because Rupert wasn't clear in his will.
Yeah, amazing what that'll do.
Yeah,
for you.
imagine. So you've got all the heads of all of these companies. Oh, the Hollywood elite. How many of them? Like 5 are conservatives, and all the rest of them, right? All of these people have all this money. Everybody complains about, the Jewish business mafia that they all vote Democrat.
Yep.
All of them.
Even when it's in their worst interest.
The Wall Street bankers all vote Democrat.
Yep.
All of them.
And none of them for 1 second take a step back and say, ooh, maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way.
But it's all about business for them.
Yeah.
It really is not ideological. That's why they go along with it. Like, they don't care. All these DEI things and all these pronoun things are just distractions.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just distractions from them doing what they're going to do on a global scale to control things and to control people.
Yeah. Let me say something about that, because I think you're making a super great point, right, about how it's a distraction. I would add, though, that for the little guy, right, for John Doe who goes in to apply at the corporation, who maybe doesn't subscribe to that, for that guy, it's an issue. It becomes a real drag on him as a person, right? Like, and it to kind of tie that back into the Tara, and what happened with her, like, they're literally becoming victims now of their own policies and stuff that they have put into place.
And I find it hilarious.
It is. You're right. I agree.
Because it's just it's just hilarious. I mean, so you remember way back in the day. So the little stickers that we have on music that says explicit content.
Yeah.
Okay. It was Democrats that did that, by the way. All of you wonderful Democrats at home. It was Democrats that did that. Yes, it was. It was Alan Tipper Gore when he was Senator Gore.
Remember Tipper.
And they were the ones that pushed that. And what happened? They were trying to protect the children, sad kids. They're trying to protect the children from these evil rappers, because that was really where it started. And then they got into rock and these different ones.
Well, the heavy metal too, right?
Yeah, yep. But it all started with Two Live Crew.
Yes.
And that whole album.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so they hauled Two Live Crew into. You remember this?
Oh yeah.
D. Snyder testifying in front of Congress.
Yes, they hauled all these guys in front of Congress, right? And then they started doing this. And what happened to all that content? It exploded.
Yeah.
Because I know I did. I was a kid.
Yeah.
I want to listen to it.
Yeah.
I bought that Two Live Crew out. Or I probably stole it from somebody, but I got that Two Live Crew album just because they said I couldn't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Phil?
I think they call that the Streisand effect.
Right.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Don't look at this thing. Oh.
Yeah.
The same thing happened in Europe in the 90s. Somewhere in Europe, it was mandated that they had to put skull and crossbones on packs of cigarettes.
Right.
Cigarette sales went through the roof.
Absolutely. Like in California, you can't get menthol cigarettes anymore. Can't do it.
But everybody wants them.
Dude, you think people are buying menthol cigarettes? Hell yes, they're going to Pahrump in Nevada.
Nevada and driving right
and
back
driving
there.
them right back across and it's like the sales have skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Why? Because when you tell the people they can't have something,
then they want it.
Then they end up wanting it. This is the problem with people like Holly Ann, who is just a wacko leftist that likes to troll your guys' page, right? They think that all is right with the world if we would just listen to the government. That's what they think, right? That's what she thinks. Just do what you're told.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us, Democrats and Republicans, are like, yeah, I don't really think so. Not so much. Yeah, I don't really think so. I think that I can control my own life. And taxation is theft. So, at least that's the way I believe. Taxation is theft. No part of what I earn is the government's money.
I'm not going to go that far, but okay.
Oh, I will, absolutely. If I drive on it, I'll pay a tax on it. But if I don't drive on it, then you know what? I'm not paying tax on it. What part of my income that I earn belongs to the federal government?
Kevin's like 22.6785%.
Well, I don't know if Chris knows this. I did work for the IRS for nearly.
I know you did. That's why I said that. I know that's why I said it.
Okay, but let me give you my common retort. So I think there's two different arguments to be made here, right? And I think you've already kind of backed up one of them. If I drive on it, I'll pay tax on it.
Sure, and I have no problem with that.
So I don't believe that taxation is theft. I would argue that what you're saying instead is, I'm willing to pay tax at a reasonable amount for what I reasonably use. My issue with tax is how much they're taking and how they're spending it. Because you just said you'll pay tax if you drive on it, so you're okay with a level of tax if it's appropriate. If it's appropriate,
at
right?
the state level.
So the issue is not tax. The issue is how much do they take and how do they spend it. As far as a federal tax goes, don't punch me. It's necessary. You have to have a way to pay for specific things, military, border security. So there has to be some taxes, but how much they take and how they misspend it's the larger issue to me.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Did we have a military before we had the federal income tax?
Yes.
Did we have roads?
Yes.
Yes. Did we have a functioning government?
Yes, kind of, yeah. But yeah,
Because we had a country that was funded through tariffs the way that the Constitution was set up.
Well, but there were other taxes, right? We had taxes on alcohol.
Right.
They were reasonable once.
But there were victory taxes that were put in during the Civil War that were taken and rescinded once they paid the debt off. I think there was another tax, if memory serves, in the early 1900s to pay for World War I that was put in place and then rescinded. And then there was the victory tax put in World War II that magically everybody just frickin' forgot to rescind. And now we have a military-industrial complex because somebody's got to feed that freaking monster.
Our politicians nowadays don't know what the word rescind means.
No, that's a fact.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And so now we're stuck in this tax hell.
But aren't you backing up my point, which is taxes, when they're reasonable, make sense, are spent correctly, and are not a government out of control, are okay.
I personally don't believe in federal taxes at all, full stop. I believe in, if you live in a state like I live in Nevada, and Nevada has the right, because it is sovereign state, part of the United States, but is a sovereign state, to tax its residents based on the needs of that state, right? And the citizens should have a say. But at the federal level, this is not this whole idea that the federal government gets to come over the top and just dunk on everybody with taxes. Full stop on that, in my most humble opinion.
Okay. No, I don't. Yeah, we won't agree on that. My argument would be the federal government is tasked with specific things in the Constitution that are going to be incurring a cost in order for those things to happen. How do those get paid? Did that money come from the state then?
So say that again.
So the federal government is tasked with obligations that will cost money to enforce or to do, right?
Such as?
Whether that be to handle interstate commerce, whether that be to, anything, right?
Sure.
So how does that get paid for? Does that money then come from state taxes and the federal government doesn't tax at all?
No, it comes from tariffs.
From tariffs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, our government is way too big. The government is in businesses it has no business being in.
No, agreed.
So if you right size the government, then all of a sudden, magically, the need for so many income taxes, I don't know, it's just like it
That's not even talking about how much money we give to foreign governments
absolutely.
All right, hold on.
36
hold on.
trillion
We'll keep
in
this
debt.
going in a second.
Yeah.
Outlaw Radio Network, bottom of the hour break is next. Stay tuned.
I believe that less government is the best government.
Are you okay? Both of you? You guys okay?
Yeah.
Cool?
Yeah,
well. I was just thinking-
I was just checking because it's been stated that people on the right operate in a constant state of fear.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Make
Yeah.
sure
Here's
everybody's okay.
here's what's great though.
Yeah.
Like we can have a disagreement about the taxes, and we can have a conversation.
Yeah. Yep.
At no point did I feel like Chris was going to stab me in the eye with a number 2 pencil. You know what I mean?
It
Like-
crossed my mind, but I kept.
That's great, thank you. But I'm serious, right? I mean,
Yeah,
the fact that we
it's
can have a
just dumb.
conversation and be okay and disagree and not hate each other at the end of it is what a lot of people are lacking, including certain people in our chat.
I think Bruce thinks I'm an absolute idiot.
No,
Or
I think he's
saying-
talking to Holly.
Oh, okay.
He thinks Holly's an absolute idiot.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I heard the most fascinating debate online the other day, and it was this feminist debating with a man, and they were talking about all of the things that women can do as well as men, and they were and it was totally a fascinating conversation because both of them had great arguments. And then he asked her, he says, well, what about the military? She says, what about it? He goes, should women do all of the same roles as men? And this is something where I freely admit that having been a 10-year Army veteran, like I did not believe that women belonged in artillery or in tanks or in infantry, right? Like those standard bearer units should be left to the men. And there's a bunch of reasons surrounding that. Well, she says no. And he goes, good, then let's talk the diminishment of the female vote. If you're not willing to have all of the same risks that men are, if you're not willing to do everything that men are, then I don't think your vote should be worth the same as a man's.
Hold on, I'm going to ask you a loaded question. Chris. Hold on. Outlaw Radio, we're back after this.
Did she go stratospheric?
No.
I'm Brandy Cruz, host of the Undivided Podcast, and you're listening to Outlaw Radio. Good luck.
Outlaw Radio Network. Final half hour of the regular show, and we probably won't go too far over because Phil and I both had very long days today. You were up at 4, is that right? I was up at 5:30. Yeah, it's been an early day.
Yeah.
So we used to have this lady named Heidi.
Okay.
Just a delicate flower. We used to comment and call the show, and she made an argument that, and I actually agree with this argument. Sorry. That our nation started to go downhill the minute women were given the right to vote.
Oh, you are not going to ask me a question.
No?
Women's suffrage? That's what we're talking about?
Well, I mean, once women got the right to vote, we became a more...
It was downhill from there, brother.
We became a more...
Wow.
A more
It's a joke, Chris. We're all good.
more feelings-based society. Like, before that, we were about exploration. We were about conquering. We were about
Do you wanna borrow the
building.
microphone, Lori?
And then women were given the right to vote. And we became more about social programs and feelings and what makes us feel better about ourselves and how we voted.
You should not put a guest.
I'm not
in
saying
this
that it's all
situation, Kevin.
wrong, but I'm saying, stop it. Would you agree, Chris, that there was a fundamental shift in the theology of this country once women were given the right to
I
vote?
apologize, Chris.
I don't know. First of all, no.
No, okay.
I think
okay.
I think that that is a linear question, and there's more to it than that.
Okay. All right.
Right. I think that fundamentally our nation completely shifted in the 60s with that revolution that took women out of the home, out of their traditional roles.
Okay.
And put them into the workplace, and the bra burning and the first wave feminism.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say that should women be paid the same as men? Well, absolutely, because the way that I look at that is that if your work output is the same as my work output, then I'm paying for the output.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
So, and that has value economically, right? If it's worth X amount of dollars, it's worth X amount of dollars. Doesn't matter if you have 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 leg, 14 arms, doesn't make a difference. The output that's the value of it. Okay.
Even if those chromosomes are different.
Even if the chromosomes are different, right? So
don't box.
The the reality is that there are consequences to everything.
Yep.
Right? And so we grew up in Generation X. We're the first latchkey generations. We raised ourselves, basically.
For sure.
Right? 100%. I know I did.
Yep. I did.
Right? I went to school by myself. I came home by myself.
Yep.
I made myself dinner, and then my parents came home, and when my dad was home,
They would take
and
your
then we
kids
would,
now for that crap.
Oh, I know, 100%. And so, like during the summertime, like nobody really knew where I was.
Yep.
Right. Like that was just the reality of it.
Miles away.
Because both parents had to work.
Yeah.
Right. And so that fundamental shift in the '60s, I think, is, in my most humble opinion, is really what changed the direction. Now, women's suffrage and women getting the right to vote, I don't think that had. I think that was a natural, normal progression that was going to happen anyway, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I don't personally see any issue with women voting. And even if I did, I'll be honest with you, I probably would never admit it. But that's just
Not out loud.
Not out loud. Not while I have clients. And so it's just the.
I'll say it.
Right. Well, you could say
You're
but,
still single.
But
it's just demonstrating why. Love you, Kevin.
Whatever. Shut up.
Just remember,
So-
there was a time when all men didn't have the right to vote. I mean, it was
No,
like
it's a
you
fact.
needed- You
It
need
was
to be a landowner.
Landowner, absolutely. And I think honestly that has maybe some merit, but the argument could be made for that.
I mean, we could circle back like earlier saying how we see the cost of houses go up, and then the taxes seem to go up. Well, at least in our county, the cost of your house connects with how much they tax you.
Yes.
It's like everything circles back, all these unintended consequences.
The nation we have now does not resemble in any way the nation that was founded 248 years ago.
Correct. You're right. And I agree with
Does-
you. Not
and
in
does
any
not-
way.
And
does
it's
not
for the
resemble-
worse. You think it's for the worse?
Although
I don't think it's for the better or for the worse. I just think it's just. I mean, we're talking about two totally different things,
Right.
right? And we're in two totally different ages and times. I think the principles of the Constitution are absolutely applicable to today, but you can't compare 1776 to even 1976 or to 2024.
Well, and I when I brought up earlier, right, like because the comment was made, Republicans operate in the realm of fear all the time, right?
Sure.
And I'm going to say this: there is a little bit of fear as a conservative male, right?
Sure.
And it comes. What does it come from, right? This statement was posted in our chat room, right? We all know this. We've heard it before. Hard times create strong men, right? Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. I'm afraid because there are so many weak men.
That's a fact.
I am scared to death of that one overwhelming fact. There is a ton of weak men.
That's
and
a fact.
they are a vast percentage of the up and coming generation. The guys that have just graduated, probably the next few years worth of kids that are going to graduate, are weak.
Right.
And I mean weak in almost every conceivable way.
Mentally, emotionally.
Yeah.
Morally.
Yeah.
Morally.
And I hate to say those are our kids.
Yes.
It's not like I'm not going to sit here and say we don't bear some responsibility.
Oh, 100% we do.
We do. But that is my fear, and that's why these conversations are so important to work through this stuff and figure out the hell are we going to do about it.
Another problem is that education hasn't changed in 120 years. It's the same.
Fascinating. Okay.
So education. So if you look at what a classroom looked like in the late 1800s, it's identical to what it looks like in 2026.
So
or
what are
2024.
your thoughts on that? Because that's interesting that you brought that up. I just ran an interesting dissertation on it. Where are you coming from when you say that? I'm curious if it's the same as what I read.
Well, because the education system was set up to create laborers. I don't need you to
That's
think.
almost exactly what I was. Okay.
I don't need you to think. I need you to do what you're told.
Yep.
Because at the warehouse, the bell rings at this time, and the bell rings at that time, and you sit your butt right here, and you do what is that you're told by your foreman, for X amount of time, and then you go from class to class to class. You go from shift to shift to shift. Everything was there to train a worker.
Yeah.
Okay.
School was created to make you a machine.
Our economy does not work that way anymore.
Right.
Okay. And it was the wealthy kids who got the classical education, that their education systems were not necessarily made that way.
Yeah.
In the same way. Now, it didn't mean that they didn't have to sit down and learn, and that they didn't sit in rows. That's not what I'm talking about. But it was geared to prepare them to be wealthy.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
They got a classical education. They could speak Latin. They could read Latin.
Yep.
They could do advanced math. They understood the advanced science of their time.
Right.
Right. They were, as George Bush would say, they were educated. And so, and we don't do that now. Now it's about the teachers union getting that money,
Yep.
funneling it through to give back to the Democrat Party so we can
bless Act Blue.
So we can continue the party.
Yeah.
Right? It is about the corruption in government. And there's corruption on both sides. It's not just on the Democrats.
Correct.
Right? Republicans have their own corruptions as well.
Yep.
I mean, we see it with H-Rock. We see it with these different people. And here in Washington State, you see it with the RNC. You see it with it's so not one is not more culpable than the other.
Right.
But
And Act Blue, your time is coming too, Democrats, because
yeah.
there are investigations right now.
Absolutely.
And it won't be long before all that stuff comes out.
Money laundering.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, education has to change. How we educated people, we educated our way into this problem that we have.
For sure.
In my most I just had this conversation the other day with somebody. I believe the 60s, the revolt of the 60s was due to the forced conservatism of the 50s.
It's a fair point.
And so you had this forced conservatism where they were legislating morality in many ways. And then that gave the who knew McCarthy was right. So you had all these communists in universities that were training these idiots that went crazy in the 60s. And now, mind you, this is an oversimplification, right? It's very, very complicated. It is not this linear. But this is ultimately kind of in a roundabout way how all this kind of happened. And so you have this revolt in the 60s, and then you've got Vietnam because we have to feed the war pig.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when have we not been at war? Like
during Trump's presidency.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. And we're headed into another war.
Yeah.
You think so?
Well, they're expecting an attack on Israel within the next 24 hours.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that's not going to end well.
Nope.
Because the Israelis don't give a
And
bleep.
Hezbollah
Do you
is
think
looking for
do you think we
anything
get
resembling
involved?
an excuse.
Do you
we
think
have
we?
to.
Do you think so?
Oh, we have to.
It's going to be 10 to 1.
We have to. First of all, there's treaties that say we have to.
Yeah,
but
I was just going to say.
yeah.
I mean, but we're bound by treaty.
We have to.
And let's not forget that there's another treaty that becomes very important in this, and that's the treaty between Iran and Russia.
Yes.
They have a mutual defense treaty as well. So the potential for this to quickly blow up, no pun intended, into something that people are going to get drug in, kicking and screaming. Absolutely, man.
It's going to get hot.
I can tell you that, I frequently speak about Hunter being in Poland, but they are watching it like nobody's business. And I will they fully expect. I mean, they're at a high state of alert right now. Such a high state of alert. They were teaching brand new privates how to drive with lights off with a night vision goggles on through the forest. Like, that's serious stuff, man.
Okay, let me give you my counter to that. And again, you guys can tell me if you think I'm wrong. I can't see Russia getting involved to back Iran at all, period, for two reasons. One, their military has been clowned in Ukraine against the Ukrainians.
Against the Americans.
Well, yeah, but
By proxy.
Ukrainian troops, American technology.
Yeah.
Two, what would be better for the Russians than for Iran to divert our attention and our money that can no longer go to Ukraine? I believe Russia would just not get involved at all. They would sit back, they would watch that region unfold in chaos, and then the resources and the money and the weapons we're not pumping into Ukraine anymore allows Russia to step up their attacks in Ukraine and put Ukraine to bed.
So here's why I can understand why you think that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a wrinkle that you didn't add in there. So there's something called BRICS.
Right.
So BRICS. So we stupidly took Russia off the SWIFT system, and then they went to Brazil, Russia, Iran, China, these different places.
South Africa.
Yep. And they created their own little money system.
Right.
The Chinese want nothing more than to take, and the Russians want nothing more than to take the dollar off as the world currency, or the world reserve currency. If that happens, we are fundamentally toast because we can't print our way out of $36 trillion in debt, right? So they would back Iran. I'm not saying that they would send troops, but they're definitely going to do to Iran what U.S. did to Ukraine as far as give them weapons and cash. Absolutely.
Okay.
Because they know the Iranians. I mean, I remember, so I joined the Navy because of 9/11.
Sorry.
And
best branch of the service.
And
thank you for your, unlike what Paul would say, thank you for your service.
Well, I
shipmate.
appreciate that.
No, we do too. Listen, for those of us that were in the Army, when we had to go fight somewhere and die, somebody had to take us. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well, that's only because you weren't smart enough to get in the Navy.
No, that's true.
So
You've heard the
ASVAB scores matter.
You've heard the phrase "dumbass tanker," right? We mean it.
No, so the reality is that we did to Iraq in about 3 weeks, and he would know because he was on the ground. In about 3 weeks, what Iran couldn't do in 10 years.
Right.
During the 10-year war. So a fight with Iran is like an afternoon walk through the park. We would fundamentally destroy these guys in a matter of just weeks. All of their technology is outdated. It's all old Russian stuff, right? So the only problem with Iran is that they have nukes, or they're very, very close, or someone would give them nukes, right? And then, like, we do not want a world war because you got people like the idiot in North Korea. That dude's just looking to shoot a missile at somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the Chinese, might.
No, keep going.
The Chinese might be able to hold him on the leash for a while. But what happens when? Oh my God!
Hand that to me.
So.
Let me see that.
I'm so going to hell.
We're doing a radio show and Paul's passing
it.
around. Yeah, we're doing a radio
Every
show.
once in a while, something
Paul's
pops
passing
up.
around
You
photos.
just can't resist it. You just got to put it in front of everybody.
Okay, Paul, we don't need to know about what pops up, okay?
So, the Chinese might be able to keep the North Koreans on the leash for a while, but we do not want an international conflict.
Right.
But
see, that's why I feel like China and Russia wouldn't. Because if we're distracted backing Israel, it helps China with Taiwan, and it helps Russia with Ukraine.
Yeah.
And if they can keep their money and their weapons to themselves, and they're just ready to do what they're going to do, and we have ourselves diverted, our attention is distracted, then I feel like it helps both of them with what their end goals are, which is Russia wants all of Ukraine, so they have full access to that to the Black Sea, right? And China wants Taiwan because it's Taiwan.
Right.
So, I'll say it again. China's going to behave. China imports too much energy and too much food to misbehave and stand up to sanctions. So China's not a concern. Russia's crazy, but 52% of their veterans coming home from Ukraine are amputees or severely disabled.
Yeah.
So Russia's not really that big a threat. They can't fight a two-front war.
No.
Well,
and they can't afford to send anything to Iran because they need it for Ukraine.
And if the CIA just happened to pull an op off and suddenly Putin was gone, like the risk of Russia is no longer a risk.
Well, but then there's a power vacuum and you get another crazier lunatic in there.
I don't know if there's many crazier lunatics in Putin.
Listen, I'm going to be straight with you, Kevin. And I know some of you out there are going to call me a racist for it. I don't care.
You racist.
I'm just going to say this. Listen, the economy's so bad. And what very well may happen tomorrow, I'm on X, they're talking about a potential collapse when people wake up in the morning because trading is going on overnight and stuff in other countries. But I just want you to keep this in perspective. The economy is so bad, even Joe Biden's job is being outsourced to an Indian.
Whoa.
Oh, you know that was funny.
Wow. Chris,
Ouch.
you don't have to comment on that. That's okay.
I can't comment on it.
By the way,
no comment.
the Japanese stock market, by the way, the Nikkei,
has
had its worst 2 days.
Yes.
So if that is an indicator of what
it's literally an indicator.
If that is to be taken as an indicator, and it isn't always, but if that can be taken as an indicator of what's about to happen in the NYSE, then it might be a very dark day.
And even if it does, listen, this is how this works, right? You go on to X right now, and it is everywhere, about how they're expecting some degree of a crash tomorrow. That in and of itself becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy,
Absolutely,
right?
because the market panics,
Yes.
and everybody, it's like Panic at the Disco, man.
Yes.
Everybody heads for the doors.
Yeah, 100%.
a
And
great band.
people will get up in the morning and go, crap, man, I'm going to go take my money out of the bank, you
Yep.
know? It is a natural inclination. We've seen countries, you may not remember this, Kevin, but a few years ago we talked about what had happened on the nation of the island of Cyprus.
Yeah.
Where the
Yes.
people woke up in the morning and their bank accounts were
We're
gone.
gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You know, this
All
stuff
the money
happens.
was gone. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it happened here in the States, too.
It did. What do you mean it happened here in the States?
So the U.S. government seized everybody's gold.
That was, wait.
It was in the early 1900s.
It's that's and for some reason I was thinking in the early 60s, but you're right. It was and then it became illegal to even own gold at that point, if I
Yes.
recall. So yeah, which was interesting all in its own right.
They did the same thing in India when they tried to go to digital currency. They took everybody's money. All of a sudden, money was valueless, and then their economy collapsed. They're like, whoa, maybe we might want to slow down on this.
I'll tell you guys, I got eggs.
Right.
I got lots of eggs. So you just call me up. You get you some eggs.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I'm still waiting for you to bring me. You told me you were bringing me eggs. You haven't brought me any. My initial thought to all of this is that it's alarmist and it's never going to happen.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, and Paul accuses me of having recency
You have
bias,
normalcy bias.
normalcy
Yeah.
bias,
Because you've never experienced something, you therefore don't believe.
But
it
we
will
have
happen to
talked on this show
Yeah.
for the last 15 years
Yeah.
about all these things that could happen, and then they never really happen.
Well, 08 happened.
Yeah. Oh wait, we didn't talk about happening until it happened. Like I always feel like it's the stuff that we can see coming.
Yeah.
Never happens.
Yeah.
Like the powerful elite, the people that really run this country, that have a whole bunch of money to lose and a whole bunch of dogs in the fight, they're going to make sure that none of that stuff they can foresee coming happens. Stuff like 08 that kind of comes out of nowhere and everything just kind of the bottom just falls out and you can't really do much at that point.
Mm-hmm.
That's what scares me, is the stuff we don't see coming.
Well, the insiders knew.
Yeah.
Right. So the banks knew. Their analysts were like, if this and this happen, which looks like is happening, we're toast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the majority of okay, so let's talk about the derivatives market. We won't talk about it, but I'll just mention it.
That's good because people need to go to bed after the show.
Yeah, most people don't understand how derivatives work. But I can tell you that there are trillions of dollars of uncovered derivatives that are out there right now. And if those unravel, oh my God. We haven't even talked about real estate.
Yeah.
Or any other things. The economy is so complex that people don't really understand that there are so many ways to tank your economy.
It's fragile.
It's super fragile.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yet it's fragile, but it's really it's fragile, but it's tough enough to come back.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It did. Yeah,
Like
it
you
does.
can break it, but it's going to heal itself.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're Keynesian and you get in there and you try to meddle it and you try to fix it and it's too big to fail. The reality is it needs to fail.
How much of what we are experiencing right now is a result of all the money that was printed during COVID?
Oh, probably 90% of it.
You think so?
Oh,
Think it's
100%.
that much? I didn't think it was that much.
And there's
I thought
even
it was about 50%.
There's
but-
even hangover from all the money that got printed in 08.
Yeah.
And hangover from the money that got printed in 01, if you remember that.
Yes.
So we went through 3 years. A lot of people don't remember this. We went through 3 years of recession.
Yeah.
Typically
0% interest rates and all kinds of.
That's
good
right. Typically recessions last for no more than 2 years.
Yeah.
I think it was the first time, if memory serves, first time in American history up to that point that we had 3 solid years of recession where the market had negative returns all 3 years. And then like magic, 9/11 happens, we end up in a war. Holy crap, what happens to the economy? Oh, of course, it explodes.
Yep.
It goes great. We get this bull run up to 08. It's free money. Let's give it to everybody.
Yep.
Then the market takes it back because that's how the markets work,
That was
averages.
the correction. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Volcker is forced by the bankers. They're like, all the banks here are going to be out of business by next Monday unless you backstop us billions of dollars.
That's the too big to fail mantra.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so then the U.S. Treasury prints all this money.
Was that the right move? Too big. Certain entities were too big to fail, or should we have? I've always believed we should have let them fail.
There should have been blood all over the place. There should have been blood on the highway, and it would have sucked really bad for about 10 years.
Yeah,
and we would have actually built back better.
I think so.
Right.
Yep.
But we don't do that because we're pain avoidance.
Is that what's coming now?
Yes.
Next, you think so?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be so big that you can't cover.
Yeah, and you know who will be safe? Federal employees will be safe. Right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Military people.
Everybody. Everybody else is going to be in the frying pan.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, but listen, I disagree with you on one thing, Paul, and Chris, is that I don't think they're ever going to get to a point where they admit that it's that bad. Like, they will just do what they've done before. They will attempt to print money. They will attempt to Band-Aid it to get us out of it as quickly as possible. They'll never fully get to a point where they just let it fully correct so it doesn't create a cycle of this happening again. And if we deal with a major bottom out in 2024, we'll have another major bottom out in 2032.
Here's the one.
And they'll just keep cycling this around because nobody wants to take the political hit that will come with this whole thing is broke and we have to go back to bare bones and fix it hard.
In
and it's going to
2008,
suck.
John McCain suspended his campaign in order to go back to D.C. because the economy was tanking. And we have a presidential election cycle right now.
Yes.
I don't think there's any escaping it if it happens.
So this was intended in my most. This is the conspiracy. Where's the tinfoil hat? Can I put it on?
Yeah, of course.
I'll put it on.
There you go.
I'll wear it.
That's a brave man right there. You're not afraid to wear that hat.
I think that I personally believe that they've been working with the Fed to try to delay the inevitable until after November. Okay, because once Trump takes office, because they know he's going to win, or that they have a pretty serious belief that he's going to win, then they can blame it on him. And there will never be another, and because the pain here is going to be so bad, there will not be another Republican. Okay, so let's go back to the Great Depression. This is where I take the hat off.
Okay.
So because this is all actually factual. So Hoover, they blamed for the Great Depression.
Well, the vacuum cleaner sucked.
Okay. So they blamed him for 1929. Who was the next president after him?
FDR.
FDR was in office for 13 years.
Yeah. And probably longer had he not died.
And then Truman. She had almost 20 years of Democrats in office. And then we ended up with Eisenhower. So the Democrats know if the Republicans take the blame for an absolute, complete collapse,
it'll be another generation before one gets elected again.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Right. Because the one thing about the Dems that I know about them is they always play the long game. And I'm not talking about throwing Hail Marys. That's what conservatives do because we're stupid politically.
Right.
The Dems have things planned out 20, 25 years in advance. This is the agenda. This is where we're going. We're going in this, and we're gonna scoot the football just a little bit. We're gonna get 4 yards here, 2 yards here, 5 yards here. Oh, look, we got 15 yards on that one. Oh, well, we ran the ball only 1 yard here. They're good with that. Now Republicans, we gotta fall back and we gotta throw the Hail Mary. We gotta run the gimmick candidates, right? We gotta run the celebrities. Which
is kind of what Reagan was, right? I mean, Reagan was not.
But Reagan was a governor,
right?
He actually had the chops of.
But he also had some name recognition. He was a B-list actor. He was a really good speaker.
Right. But he wasn't a gimmick candidate.
Okay.
Right.
No, he did a good job in California.
Yeah, he was a great governor. And was very well liked on both sides. Even people that didn't agree with him, he was affable enough that people generally liked him. You know what I mean?
Really quick, before we end this, I want to ask you guys this. We can handle this on the Facebook side if we go a couple minutes over. But really quick, they expect that Kamala Harris is going to make an announcement on the VP candidate by Tuesday.
Yeah, it'll be Buttigieg.
You think it'll be Buttigieg?
Yeah,
I think it'll be Buttigieg as well. Tom, do you have a thought?
DEI.
Yeah.
For real.
Well, you think it's DEI. I think Buttigieg is the best.
Well, no, he can be white. That's fine. We'll give him a pass on that because he's also gay.
But I think he's the best candidate she has to choose from on the Democratic Party side. I mean,
I don't disagree.
Yeah,
with
I mean,
that.
I think he's the best one. I don't think it's a DEI.
won't outshine her.
Yeah,
but will support her enough.
Well, and everybody else is a no-namer, right? I mean,
right.
How many average Americans know who the governor of Pennsylvania is? Not many, Tom.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, the list is so short.
Yeah.
That it's what, Buttigieg or Newsom, but Newsom's bankrupted the state. So
well,
he doesn't have a lot of
she's from
salability.
California and he's from
Right.
California, so
So they won't do
Newsom can't be the vice
right,
president.
right.
It's a
just like
constitutional-
just like DeSantis. Like I thought DeSantis would be the best pick for Trump, but he can't be.
Yeah, constitutionally. Yeah.
So I think you guys are high. I think that no way she peaks Buttigieg for exactly what you said.
Okay.
Because he's a DEI hire, right? She's already being accused of being a DEI hire.
Okay.
And there's evidence to support that based on the president's previous statements. I think that becomes too obvious. And I think that she absolutely goes with Shapiro out of Pennsylvania.
Could be.
Because she needs Pennsylvania.
And she needs a Jewish vote.
For sure.
I think it's Brashear or Shapiro. She needs
Yeah.
either one of them desperately. They've already lost Nevada
Yep.
and Wisconsin.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
If I'm right, Kevin, I would humbly request that you and Chris both go onto my Facebook page and just type in the phrase, "Paul, you were right. We're sorry. We completely bow to your intelligence."
Will you do that if you're wrong?
I'll do the first part. Paul, you were right.
That's okay.
Right.
Well, there's one reason that she won't pick Shapiro.
Okay.
Because Shapiro is Jewish. And there's so much consternation and infighting right now about the Palestinian issue.
I don't disagree with
and
that.
And Democrats
Fair point.
already feel like the Biden administration kind of gave them the finger and is giving them the Palestinian people the finger. Her picking a Jewish running mate would be...
You're saying she's
really
going to go
bad.
further to the left.
No, I'm not saying further left. I'm just saying with trying to keep support within her party, I can't see her go. It might even be less left, but I don't see her picking a Jew.
So Rick
hold on. We'll respond to that in a second. Let's go on the Facebook side. If you're on AM, we'll be back 7 o'clock on Wednesday.
Provided the country hasn't collapsed.
And we will have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about the results of the primaries as well. If you're on Facebook, stay there. We're not done with you yet. It's Outlaw Radio.
I'm Polish.
All right.
Since
So
Warsaw,
I finally got around to setting up our Google Voice number. So what that means is I'm going to test it. We're going to release information on Wednesday. I'll probably cut a promo for it as well. But we have a phone number that I'm setting up, which will go straight to voicemail if you call it, and it will allow any listener to leave us a voicemail to play on the show.
Oh, wow.
Now, the reason I'm doing this is twofold.
Oh, wow.
One, a lot of people listen to us when we're not live, right? They catch us on our streaming or whatever, right? And they want to be able to leave us a message. This is a great way to do it. The other thing is for people specifically like Holly, who are afraid to call the show because they think we'll be mean to them. And
you are literally always an asshole to that poor girl.
Always.
I'm assuming she's a girl.
What's the over or under on her actually calling?
I don't know. I just want to make it easy. So I'm not going to give the number out today. I need to do a couple test run things with it. We need to set up an intro, a voicemail recording, all that kind of stuff for it. But ideally, it will launch on Wednesday at the beginning of Wednesday's show. We might even launch it before then on the Outlaw page, on our personal pages. People can leave their messages. All we ask is that don't swear too much because I have to do the editing.
Well, and listen, I mean, think about this. I think it's a good idea, Kevin. I want to give you some serious props for it. I mean, our world is changing so much, and it is so upside down. I mean, think about it. Right now, Chris Brown could win a gold medal for what he went to jail for. Like, stuff is totally different. What?
That's true.
We didn't even get to the boxer conversation.
Oh, man.
I'm going to tell you something. This is kind of funny about that entire topic. I have been digging my ass off trying to get to the bottom of that topic. Did you know that I cannot legitimately find out, have been unable to ascertain whether or not these two boxers, the one from Taiwan or the one from Nigeria, or not Nigeria, is it Nigeria?
No.
It's in Algeria. Thank you. Yeah, northern.
It's
northern
one of those
Africa close.
Jerias.
Yeah, it's one of the Jerias. Jerry. Here's the point. I have not been able to ascertain whether or not they are actually male, what the exact problem is, because not the IOC, but the previous professional women's boxing organization is being completely tight-lipped and silent, and they will
Let me
not.
respond to that about the
Yeah, thank you.
Algeria one. The IBF, the International Boxing Federation, confirmed, at least with the one from Algeria, that they were born and are biologically female.
So,
but
yeah,
that is as
that's
far
all
as they
they've
got
said,
with it,
yeah.
and they haven't. They said that the test that she failed was not a testosterone test, but they wouldn't give any other information besides
The only
that.
thing they've said is that she had a Y chromosome. They've said that much.
Yeah.
So, well, who has a Y chromosome? Men.
Well,
so
generally,
that's,
but there are
that's
genetic
where,
mutations.
But do you
in the-
understand though? That's where the
Yeah.
controversy's coming into play. Is they're not specifically stating what the issue is. And I'm seeing people arguing back and forth. And by the way, when you're arguing over this topic, it doesn't do you any good to be militant in your argument. Like that, now you're just continuing to add to the problem. Now, and I see people from the hard left arguing it because they think somehow it shows that people of a more conservative nature are bad people. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And they like to make that suggestion. Oh, look at you. You don't think that this person has the right to do this because they had this or that test, right? You know, and it's just it's a circular fucking firing squad, man. It's just it's pathetic.
So the problem I have with the boxing thing is, you know, if they're going to do a testosterone test, right? You know, if we take 25 years off any of our lives and put us in the NFL, if you're juicing and you get popped for performance-enhancing drugs, you're benched. So what's the difference between an elevated testosterone, you know, level? That's
no,
my
you're right,
problem.
Tom. You're right. And listen, and I hold to the fact, I appreciate you for bringing the NFL up, because the ultimate point that DEI doesn't work for my friends on the left listening out there is the NBA.
Okay.
Right?
What, they made a movie about that.
Talk on the microphone.
They made a movie?
Yeah, White Men Can't Jump.
Oh boy, that was a long time ago. Actually, you're right. It wasn't a long time ago because they just remade that, huh?
Here's what I'm going to say. I don't know enough about the governing bodies of boxing that handle all of this stuff, the tests that were run, all of that. I don't know enough about any of that to make the call. What I will say is this: the IBF, the International Boxing Federation, is not an agency that you should base any decisions on one way or the other. They are rife with corruption. They are rife with questionable decisions. It's a long-standing issue with the IBF. So nothing the IBF says to me one way or the other is going to make me feel better or worse about either one of these boxers. I have to have faith at some level that the IOC, International Olympic Committee, that the IOC has done due diligence in vetting these athletes. They have not. This is not the transgender argument, right? Okay, these are two competitors who were born female that have some type of defect, different. I don't know how you want to phrase it, but something in their biological system that is triggering concerns that the IBF had, but the IOC doesn't have them. So that's all I know. And so the only thing I can decide is that I have to have faith that the IOC has properly vetted them. Otherwise, my head will explode. Chris?
The percentage of females, born female, that have some sort of genetic defect that gives them a Y chromosome, the percentage of the population is infinitesimally small.
Yes.
What are the chances that two boxers in the same Olympics magically show up at the same time in the same? The odds of that are like, I don't know, 0.
Is it possible it's more likely, though? Let me tell you why. Because if they have the Y chromosome, then that would benefit their body in combat sports because
Sure.
of changes to skeletal
Yep,
stuff.
absolutely.
And
Makes him a dude.
And we live in a much more accepting time in our world where trans people are more widely accepted than they would have been 10, 15 years ago. So is it possible that these types of competitors have been around the whole time, but we weren't societally embracing them as we are? Now, I'm not saying that either one of these boxers are trans, but we're more embracing of people societally for stuff that we would have normally kicked them out the door for.
We already embraced one of them as the first lady. So,
no. Okay.
Yes,
Dennis?
I would
Big
just
Mike.
like to add that the numbers on the number of boxers
registered with this birth defect is not 2, it's 5.
Was it 5?
It's 5.
It's
Yeah.
5.
It's
ridiculously 5.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's a rare disease, but it only hits boxers.
Apparently, this is all bullshit. This is they're trying to erase women.
Yeah. And that's
the bottom
problem.
line.
Yeah,
and that's why, like I actually, again, I find this sadly humorous. First wave feminists are losing their minds because they fought for the right of equality, and now men are like, you know what? We're so freaking awesome. We can be better women than women.
Mm.
And so, like, they're not even calling women anymore. They're calling them birthing people. Or chest feeders.
Yes.
Like, what the?
Chest feeders?
Can I cuss on?
Yeah,
that?
you're on
Like,
Facebook.
what the fuck is that? A chest feeder? No, it is a woman.
Yeah.
Period.
It points to what we were talking about earlier with the issues within Tara Simmons' organization, right?
Right.
They're being devoured by their own their own desires.
Exactly.
Now. And that's why this
Because
has
it's
gotten so
fucking
far out of
lunacy. Is absolutely, the left has lost their fucking mind. Once they got off of public policy and they started taking this crazy shit, this just crazy shit, and they started making it public policy, all of a sudden it is inevitable that they will get caught up in it, because you can't ever stay abreast of all the rules.
He said abreast.
It's funny, yeah.
Listen, hold on. But let me ask a question. And I don't be the snarky answer. I want the real answer, because I'm.
Who are you saying no snarky?
All of you. All of you, especially you, Paul. Okay. Why? What is the argument they use? Why transgender women should be able to compete against women?
Because they're women.
Because
they identify as women.
And because they should be able to compete against those who are like-minded, right? They should be competing against.
No, if I wake up and I want to be Christina, who was my great grandmother, by the way, her name was Christina.
Rest in peace.
So if I want to be Christina, then I can compete now with Lori.
Right. Regardless of the risks provided, regardless of the danger to the competitors,
Yes.
regardless of anything, because you have identified as a woman
Yes.
and she identifies as a woman.
Yes.
So I have a remedy to fix this. I suggest we cancel the Special Olympics and we let those athletes compete in the regular Olympics.
That's next.
Men against men, women against women.
But
I mean, if that's what this is about gender. If everybody can compete, and it doesn't matter about musculoskeletal, it doesn't matter about strength, it doesn't matter about body index, it doesn't matter about intelligence, it doesn't matter about strength, it doesn't matter about capacity. If none of that matters, if this is just men against men, women against women, then I suggest we no longer do Special Olympics.
What does Special Olympics have to do with anything?
Because they're men and women.
Yeah, but they're not going to compete at a level that would bring them in the Olympics.
If
Hence,
Lori
the
and
Special
Chris,
Olympics.
if Lori and Chris compete against each other, Lori will not compete in boxing against Chris in a way that would have made her eligible for the Olympics, and she will get slaughtered, much like a Down syndrome child would get slaughtered against a normal adult in a boxing match. I'm not picking on people. I'm saying it's that level of idiocy. It's that level of wrongness.
So I get your point. I'm just saying, if you were to do what you say,
well, this is
they
sarcasm.
simply would never.
Right, but I'm just saying this is sarcasm on my part. But I'm just saying.
Sorry, I was taking you seriously, trying not to be sarcastic or
sarcasm.
Are you declaring that you do not believe that men should be competing in women's sports?
Yeah, I've said that on here before.
I just wanted to be clear.
But I
Period.
hold on.
Full stop.
But on the boxers, I'm not sure how I consider that.
I understand.
Because
I'm right there with
too
you.
much conflicting
I'm
information.
trying to figure it out, but all that we are able to find out is that these women that are going to be competing for the gold medal, men, women, I don't even know how to quantify them.
Yeah.
Because they specifically say, well, they've got
They're
a Y
dudes.
chromosome.
They're dudes.
And that, to me,
Two
scientifically makes them a man.
Two dudes.
But yet they say they're not.
Two dudes. Let's just cut through the bullshit. It's two dudes competing for the female gold medal.
Yeah. I'm not.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm prepared to call them dudes. You totally can, but
Two dudes.
I just.
You have a Y
need,
chromosome, you're a dude. I don't
need
care if you
more
have a dick
information.
or not.
I'd love to talk to a doctor about this, to be honest with you, but I need more information.
Did you have a Y chromosome, you're a dude.
Did you guys see
exactly
the video that
I
was
have
put
9
out
Y chromosomes.
by the Missouri Secretary of State candidate?
No.
Oh, I'll play that after we go off air.
Oh, is that bad?
Yeah,
Okay.
and she made this video as a candidate, I would be really interested, Chris. In,
I've seen that.
The one where she's got the gun, she's standing in front of the state capitol?
Yes, I've seen it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably
All right.
would have advised against that.
Yeah.
Chris, man, thanks for flying up from Vegas just for this interview. I think it was great of you to do that.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Can we touch base with you maybe Wednesday or Sunday after we get out of the primary? Maybe even just a quick video call or something.
I'll be here and stayed until Friday.
Wednesday will be an interesting a night on air for sure. We're gonna have a lot to talk about.
Okay, let's stay in touch. We'll work something out.
Yep.
I think Wednesday is going to be really telling, though, right? I mean,
yeah.
Whether or not we see some kind of a red swell, I don't want to say wave because every time they predict it, it's wrong.
No.
But some kind of a red swell or
turnout's too low.
It's horrible. What are you expecting by the way?
No one
for
gives a
turnout?
shit, huh?
What do you think? Less than 20%?
I wouldn't go. Maybe shit. I hope not.
I know.
I mean, I think 30.
And it was good to go.
Turn your mic off, Phil.
This stage we should be higher than average,
32.
right? Because
so
we're
37.5, I think, is
we're a
about
vote from
normal.
home, so
right
For a primary?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that low. Sometimes it's more, right? But I think 37.5. I could be wrong on those numbers, but that's what I remember reading.
You're from Vegas. I'm going to take the under on that.
Right, it could be.
I think it's going to be I just don't think a lot I people care about the primaries right now.
100%.
I think that they're distracted
You're right,
by the
they should,
shiny
Tom,
object,
yeah.
which is November.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I think that we'll probably be 28-30% maybe. Right?
Which means the chances of the wrong people getting and listen, I will just say it. I Reichert is boring as fuck.
Yep.
And when his whole campaign is just boring as shit, man. And
he's been oddly quiet.
And
Like,
he
doesn't
came
feel
out
like
in
he's
support of a
campaigning.
Gavin Newsom program. Look, I get it, but dude, don't fucking go on TV and talk about supporting Gavin Newsom like the week before the election. I was like, the hell
But
are you
hold on,
doing?
isn't that genius?
No, I don't think so at
Hold
all.
on, isn't it genius? Because the right are going to vote for him no matter what. If
No,
he can,
the right vote is split.
If he can cherry pick some blue dog Democrats to come over to vote for him, then that might be the deciding factor, especially in November.
That's why he waffled on the abortion issue.
Yeah.
And I don't. Yeah.
Specifically for the reason that you just stated.
Yeah.
He was trying to get those crossover
he's trying to
votes.
pilfer some. And I think it's smart.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's trying to do. The problem is everybody on the left's going to vote for the other guy.
Yep.
Like he's gonna. I don't know. I just. Was
You mark my
like,
words.
sitting
Mark my words. Semi Bird wins on Tuesday, because voter turnout's going to be so low, and his base is way more motivated to vote than Reichert's base is. Just watch. Parker's
if you
buying me
get 1%
tequila.
of 100 million people out to vote, that's still only 1%.
But if it's 1% more than Reichert's, I mean, they just don't seem inspired, and Reichert doesn't seem to be right. He's been oddly quiet.
That's why I said he's boring.
Doesn't feel like he's campaigning.
None of semi stronghold counties have turned out.
No.
No.
Okay. All right. Parting shots. Bob
Thank you
Ross.
for having me, man.
Oh, you can give party shots in a second.
I just
You
want
get
to say
party
thank you.
In light of all the
anytime.
A lot of everything. I realize I want to thank Tara Simmons for giving me fun ammunition as people say they can't vote for a felon. I said, does that mean you can't vote for Tara Simmons?
Yeah, I just
Pretty
saw that
savage.
conversation.
And they usually are like,
Quiet.
Yeah.
Of course they are.
and additionally, after much wrangling and thought, I have finally determined what my pronouns are.
What is it?
Finally, it took a while. They are he. I identify as a comedian.
I will say this. I always find it the two most blatantly ignorant campaign arguments that I've heard this year. One is I can't vote for a felon.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
dumb.
And then the other one is when you hear the Biden administration talk about creating all of these jobs, when the entire reason there were that many jobs to be created is because we literally raped the economy with
Yes.
COVID, and then there was nowhere to go but up. I mean, it's the most disingenuous thing. Well, we created all these jobs.
Semantics.
Yeah, because you literally killed every job in this country besides federal workforce.
Yeah, they're proud of being the rebound girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of rebound girlfriends, I have a lot of experience with those. Lori, party shots.
Wow.
Sorry, I'm just being honest, man.
Okay.
That's why I can't run for office. That's why I can't run for
Yeah.
office.
Not the
only reason.
Lori, we didn't even ask you, how do you feel about Tuesday? You optimistic?
It is what it is.
Wouldn't it be great if you made it through?
That would be hilarious.
You beat out Michelle Caldier. That'd be great.
Yeah, you and Rachel.
You and Rachel in the end.
Be hilarious. Anyways, parting shots. Be ready. School starts back up in a few weeks, so watch out for the buses and the kids crossing. And if you are able, like today at Fred Meyer, there were people out front trying to get, drum up back to school supplies and food and all that. So if you are not a person who is needy and can help out, try.
Okay. This public service announcement, by the way, brought to you by Black Ring Spirits, reminding you, do not drink and drive. If you have to drink, do it, get it out of the way, and then drive. Okay. Tom, parting shots.
I'm not done.
Oh, you're
vote,
not done.
Vote.
There you go.
All right. That was a Sam Kinison joke I stole, by the way. Tom, parting shots?
If you're looking for something to do, the 17th of this month, yours truly will be up in Snohomish at the River's Edge Brewfest. It's a big collection of breweries, wineries, meaderies, distilleries.
On the 17th?
17th. Okay. Yeah. I've been there the past couple of years.
Snohomish is gorgeous.
Oh, it's beautiful. And there's usually between 150 and 200 different companies there.
Wow, that's
Goes
great.
to a great cause, supports youth soccer. So. Stop it.
You had me till you said youth soccer.
Stop it. Hey, the next one is Brew in the Barn, and that's youth football.
Perfect.
So,
there you go.
Hey, anything for the kids.
Remember, kids,
Soccer's
remember,
football.
parents, once your kids turn 11, don't let them play soccer anymore. Put them in a real sport. Chris, do you have any parting shots? Anything you want to say?
Be grateful in all things, man. There's a lot of negativity out there, and the way that I stay sane with all the negativity all the time is just be grateful for all things. When you have a good day, then be grateful for it. When you have a bad day, then you got to be grateful for it. And stay focused on family and the things that are important. Politics isn't everything. I've lost family, I've lost friends over politics, and it's bullshit, honestly.
Yep.
Focus on the things that are important. Stay close to the ones that love you, and stay close to those that are loyal to you, and you'll be in a good place at the end of your life. Vote on tomorrow. It's the last day to vote. Well, actually Tuesday, but get your ballot in if you haven't. Apparently, a lot of people have not. So that's it.
Get on it. Holly said that Tara has repeatedly spoken out about anybody calling Trump a felon. I wasn't knocking Tara. I actually really like Tara, but
we've
a
said
lot,
that
a
a
lot
few
of
times.
Democrats are doing the opposite. But I'll leave you to defend them as you normally do, Paul.
Listen, all the stuff that we discussed, it's no less true or real, but the most important thing is Tuesday. Make sure you turn your votes in. No matter who you vote for, it is your responsibility and your duty as an American to work your ass off to draw little circles on a piece of paper and stick it in a fucking mailbox.
No, don't mail it. Don't mail it. Take it to a drop box. Do not mail it. Sorry, Paul. The idea of mailing in my ballot is just gross.
Okay, well, as long as it's no matter what they say,
These
as long
are
as
the,
it's
these are the same.
postmarked.
These are the same people that can't even deliver an envelope.
See what Holly
in the right
said
box.
about me. I'm grateful for Chris showing just how hateful and unhinged he and the right are.
Are you hateful and unhinged?
I am not hateful
I wasn't
at all.
aware. How come nobody told me you were hateful and unhinged?
He loves you, Holly.
Something you could have brought to my attention 3 hours ago.
Yeah, but therein lies.
She
the
wasn't
problem.
here 3 hours ago.
Therein lies the problem, right?
Yeah.
The problem that you're having a conversation with somebody about politics and all aspects of it, and it suddenly becomes, well, you don't agree with me, therefore you are a hateful person.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all bullshit.
And I don't think you said anything. I mean, you didn't agree with her, but you were respectful. You had normal. I just don't get it.
Well, and she says the same things about us, and it's whatever.
it's
It's fine. It doesn't. she
Holly,
should have
you're going to
learned by
regret
now.
calling me all those names when we're husband and wife.
Kevin, once again, not everything is about you. I was responding to Philip Housel.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's Philip right there behind the
Phil.
window.
That's Phil right there.
Yeah.
That's Phil. Yeah.
No, I know, but that's what she was saying on there, that she was responding to you.
Oh, okay. I
Yep.
got you. So anyway,
Yep.
folks, the most important thing is Tuesday. Get out and vote for whoever meets your criteria, matches your values. If you're into the murder and death and killing of unborn children, so be it. You'll burn. But that's cool. Do it anyway. Yeah, that's all. Just get out and vote.
All right, my parting shots are as follows. First of all, I want to remind all of you that I have firmly endorsed Ace Haynes to make it to the next round of the primaries up north. Not really because I like Ace Haynes, but because I'm really hoping for 3 more months of popcorn time. watching that whack-a-mole completely fuck up the process and make me want to put my face in a wood chipper is just too much to pass up. So if you haven't really decided who to vote for in the North End and you don't like either one of the candidates, go ahead and vote for Ace Haynes, because, God damn it, watching that city burn would be a blast, all right?
It's like watching a soft citizen.
It's just totally, right? I mean, can you imagine watching that fucking whack-a-mole do anything? I mean, if he gets elected, that city's going to become a third world nation in 2 days. So that's the first one. I think that my only other parting shot is just to echo what everybody else has said. Please vote. Get out there, get your vote cast. Do the right thing. And if you don't, then shut the fuck up. Seriously. If you don't vote, you have no right to talk about anything, so shut up.
Did you see Rick's comment in the chat?
What? Whose comment?
Rick. I'll come to your house, Kevin. I swear.
Rick, I love you, man. I really do love Rick. But I just... Like, the Ace Haynes campaign is like when it's the middle of the night and I can't fall asleep and I'm scrolling through TikTok videos and you see the video of the car heading straight for the train and you know you don't really want to watch what's about to happen, but you can't turn it off. That's what the Ace Haynes campaign is like. He literally is a car crash waiting to happen. All right.
It is interesting that World War III is trending right now massively on.
I'm not really sure how I'm
X,
gaslighting Holly. Was it my comment about how you're not going to like this when we're husband and wife? Is that what was that? If that's gaslighting, you need to develop a sense of. What did I say that was gaslighting to Holly? What did I say? Do you know? Do you remember?
I'm sure she'll say,
a while ago.
"Oh, you know."
It wasn't a while ago. She just posted it.
No,
Okay.
hold on.
Okay.
Giving you context.
Okay.
Not the last time that Jesse was on, but the time before that. And she was bringing up bills and different things, and you guys had both asked her to bring up specifics.
Yes.
So then the last time he was on, I think she posted in the chat all the different
And I told her that I
links.
would read them and then we would talk about it. Yes.
That's
But-
what she's talking about.
Okay, but here's the deal, Holly.
I believe.
Here's the deal, Holly. Two things. One, Chris is in here. Okay. So I'm not going to make Chris explain Jesse's answers, because if he gave good answers, you'd say, well, he's not Jesse. And if he gave bad answers, you'd use him against Jesse. Secondly, Jesse's going to win on Tuesday, and we're going to have the conversations about those bills with Jesse in studio so that he can answer them rather than us opining. And thirdly, I didn't say there were three, but there's actually three. It's fucking ridiculous that you want us to answer your questions and then wait for you to respond when there's a 4.5 minute delay between when I say it and when you hear it, when you type a response. This is fucking radio, Holly. This is like moment of. This is not, I'm going to comment and then give you 5 minutes to write a fucking retort. So if you want to have a conversation, call the goddamn show, talk on the phone so we can talk like actual humans, or don't be pissed off when I don't go down your little rabbit hole and wait 5 minutes for you to respond. I know technology is hard for you, Holly, but it's not how the world works.
Yeah,
Okay.
speaking of technology, Ethereum is closed down 31%. Bitcoin's down 22%. The Nikkei has crashed. They've lost 12.4% of their overall value. Wow. And to top that off, NASDAQ futures, which are actually being traded right now, are already down 6% in the first
12.4% is 1/8. I mean, they've lost 1/8 of their
South Korea,
net.
their Kospi, I think it's Kospi, that's how I was, but fell 8.1% to the point where they halted trading.
Yep.
That'll happen tomorrow on the markets.
So by noon East Coast time, don't be surprised if they shut down trading.
Well, yeah. Again, the Nikkei at 12.4% was the worst loss they've had since the Black Monday of 1987.
Yeah.
So we'll see
Margie
what
said,
happens
Kevin, what
tomorrow,
does your
man.
T-shirt say? It says arrive, raise hell, and leave. Okay,
What you're going to do tonight.
That's what I did tonight. Yeah. But yeah, so Holly, in all honesty, we will talk about it with Jesse because it's a good question. Jesse expressed an interest in going over it. He wanted to know what you had to say and kind of what you were referencing. So we'll do. I just want to do it with Jesse here so he can respond. The only other parting shot that I have is I swear to God, if you guys don't vote for Semi Bird, and I have to buy a bottle of tequila for Robert Parker, you will never hear the fucking end of it. All right?
Yeah, that and Michelle Collier.
9%.
So one more fun little
I
party
said 13,
shot.
but yeah.
way back in the 50s, which I heard was a great time and led to the 60s, right? Van Meter, little comic group, and they put out.
The following is a public service announcement. Election day is near. Go to the polls and vote. Vote for the candidate of your choice, but vote.
Yeah. Dude, please don't vote for Michelle Collier. Like, literally. Like, there's two things I want to have happen on Tuesday. Okay? I want Jesse to make it through, and I want Michelle to get pummeled. I want Michelle to get pummeled like the boxer that faced the Algerian girl. Okay?
I made sure both those races have received money.
Yeah.
And like I was looking at Rachel's, it was like 5 people in Kids Up. Like, really? Is there only 5? Well, now there's 6. Wow. I was like, that's sad.
I just hope that Michelle gets pummeled. That's all. And then I don't know what'll happen. Michelle will probably be homeless by February. I mean, she'll probably be living on the streets and addressing with a homeless issue she didn't help to address while she was in the legislature because she doesn't really have any other jobs she can do with the rest of her life. So,
of course, homelessness is the economy.
There you go. All right. Good night, everybody. We love you. We'll see you Wednesday at 7 with election results coverage. It's Outlaw Radio.
Provided we can afford to keep the lights on.
Deuces!